You are now watching Surveillance. Donate or subscribe for more sick twists.
Well, this video was made possible by my patrons, Minister, Westy, Cicada, Rouge, Splode. You guys are awesome. Thanks for supporting the channel. And if you guys want to support the channel, head on over to my Patreon in the description. Thanks.
You are now listening to a Light Club exclusive. This is a world premiere. Now make some noise for two bad boys, the real Blazed and Surveillant. This is Light Dubs. And that's a big ass twist.
What's up, guys? It is Light Dubs back here with a nice episode 2. We got a good one for you guys coming on here. And I'm really excited. We have Pride, the creator of the RetSim. How's it going, Pride?
Pretty good, pretty good. Good to be
Good.
here.
Yeah, dude. We're excited to have you, honestly. So today we're gonna be talking about the RetSim and just a little bit more about like tier 6 loot prio, maybe at the end, you know, if we get time for that. So right now, I wanted to, get down and dirty. I wanted to, know a little bit more about Pride, and stuff like that. So Pride, can you give us a little bit information about you, my man?
Yeah, what's up? I've been a long-time Paladin player. You might have heard of me from one of the many Paladin communities at this point. I come from Greece. I have a software engineering degree. I'm not quite sure what else I can say.
Nice. I did not know that.
Did you say social engineering?
No, software engineering.
Oh, software engineering. I was
software.
gonna say
Yeah.
social. I was gonna say that's a like they
That
do that now. Like that's a
No, that-
major, but no, that's cool. That's cool.
that could be a thing for my next sim, I guess.
So that, I'm assuming, is that how you were able to create like a sim,
Yes, that probably makes more sense than that.
Yeah, that does make a little
So
bit more
yeah,
sense
definitely. So you work a lot in like C for your degree and stuff. Like you're very comfortable with C.
Yeah, I've done a lot of C++. I've done C Sharp. But my main focus is Java and C Sharp. It's like object-oriented web stuff, which is why the Sim started that framework and why we're thinking of doing the web version at first.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
now. Yeah. So you said you've been playing Paladin for a long time, huh?
Yeah, like Paladin has been my thing for as long as I can remember. To be honest, I've been playing Paladin since Diablo 2, to put it that way. That is
Really?
what got
Oh,
me
okay,
into
wow.
yeah.
Holy
That is
hell,
what
man.
So
that's
you
what got me into
played.
Paladin for this.
So you played like back in 2007. You played Paladin in TBC.
2006, bro. What 2007? What are you talking
Oh,
about?
okay.
Ooh.
All right.
Right from the start, I
I
spent
get
9
you.
months in Europe actually. So
That's
So
cool. That's cool.
so that means, are you just a Paladin shield? You don't play anything else? Anything like any other classes?
no, actually, most people probably know me as different characters. That's why I go by Pride and Norbard. Norbard is my Paladin's name, but other people know me from different characters. I've been playing Warlock and Druid a lot, and Priest a good amount as well.
Okay.
So, but for Classic, I've been focusing more on Paladin, completely by accident. But most people probably know me as Paladin at this point. But that was
Mhm.
not always the case.
Yeah, that's what I've only known you as a Paladin, honestly, because I
Yeah.
remember from the classic spreadsheet, That's what I remember from Baranor's classic spreadsheet. That's what I remember.
Yeah, it's Pride.
Yeah.
It's the Paladin guy. Everybody knows that's the Paladin guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, that's probably what most people know me from.
So then in the game, you doing PvE or PvP with your Paladin? I mean, do you like something more than the other?
These days I do almost exclusively PvE. I
Okay.
used to be a mostly PvP guy, but I haven't really had the time or the energy to do it. To be honest, in Classic, the game has changed quite a bit, so I've been
It's
focusing on PvE.
the meta is so different now, and like
Yeah,
Mhm.
the
completely.
time investment required is so high against these
Yeah.
people that have been playing for like 10, 15 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been playing a good amount as well, but it's like I don't know. I feel like Paladin is, first of all, it's like really limited in what comps you can play, and looking for Shaman just doesn't really sound that appealing to me right now. So it's like I did do a decent amount of PvP on my Druid instead. Though I got to 2300 on my Druid, and I haven't had time to play since.
Okay. Yeah, see, finding a shaman is, you know, it's pretty rough out there, you know, and I'm assuming, you know, them trying to find a ret as well is pretty hard because I've gotten, you know, whispers as well, like, hey man, do you have a shaman or anything like that?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. Um, but I do agree with you. It does seem very limited right now. I'm not sure if season 3 is gonna, you know, makes it a little bit better, but I'm pretty certain I'm feeling
Oh,
confident on it
definitely.
for sure.
I wanted to ask, so then is TBC like your introduction to seal twisting, or did you ever seal twist back in the day or on a private
Hmm.
server?
Uh, I only did it back in the day with the really popular Seal of Justice trick you could do back then, where you could still twist Commander and the Justice. First of all, like I played
Yeah.
Alliance always, so I never had access to Blood anyway, even if I wanted to twist. But we did do the Seal of Justice trick back in Arena back in the day.
Oh yeah,
That's cool. I've been trying to integrate that more, but
you're
it's
saying
like
in.
a lot of times you'd rather just have the damage, like where you twist into
Yeah,
command
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
justice.
Hmm. You trying to
It's like
integrate that in PvP, serve?
Yeah, I've been trying to integrate that more into like my play style.
Gotcha.
Like I did a game where I started in command. Sorry, my dog's barking if you can hear that. But I did a game where I started in command and I go on this druid and he's like casting cyclone and I interrupted him with a justice twist.
Ooh, okay.
And it was awesome, but like something like that is hard to replicate.
It
But
is, yeah. It's a
yeah.
little bit of RNG
and
for sure.
would you rather have like the damage and also it's gonna DR mace
Yeah.
stun and I play with a warrior, so
It's
Oh.
like a nice little trick to have when you're like desperate to get an interrupt of like a
Hmm.
shaman just free healing right in front of
yeah.
you. It feels good, but yeah,
Hmm.
it's not consistent.
So you were Alliance back then, Pride.
And
You were.
still am very much still am.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense as to why you didn't have blood back in the day. Okay, but
Yeah.
I guess now it's just a huge difference, right?
Yeah, it's like I mean, just by virtue of what's called batching being gone, it's so different now
Oh yeah.
in general. And in many ways, yeah, it's like interesting. It was nice to try. It feels good.
Hmm.
It's good stuff.
So you said you're PVE mainly. Are you what kind of guild you in? Are you on what server you on? You know, are you raid leading?
Yeah, yeah. First of all, I'm not just reeling. I'm a guild master. I've had my own guild basically since TBC, OG
Okay.
TBC that is. That I basically have since then. There's only a couple people left from back in the day. Now we mostly have new people. It's Premonition. We started on Razor Gore, famous dead server on
Yeah.
EU. Greetings to all the Razor Gore people in chat. I know there's a few that still follow me around from those days. The server died. We moved to Firemaw. We are a PvE guild, but we do have a good amount of PvPers as well.
Hmm. Hmm. So you guys are just PVE mainly and stuff like that. 10 out of
Is
Yeah,
10.
that
yeah, yeah.
is that premonition from Warmain or different premonition?
No, no, completely different. It's basically just a friends guild. It's guild we've had around for a while.
Do you guys ever play on a private server or not really?
No, no, no. A few of us have played, but not officially as like a guild, anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's a guild on there called Premonition. They were like one of the top alliance guilds, but
Yeah, I did hear that. People keep saying, were you copying them? I had no idea who they were. I
it's a
think they're like a US
it's
guild,
a
right?
popular name. Yeah, yeah, it's a popular
Yeah, yeah.
name.
Uh,
Yeah, I made when I made the guild it was like what 16, so it's like I had no idea who what it meant or what anything like just sounded like a cool word.
oh man, you've had it that long?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh wow. So not only have you been playing the game that long, you've had the guild that long. That's impressive, man.
yeah.
It came to him in a premonition. He had to do it.
I'm getting spammed to shout out Zapbox by the way. Hello Zapbox. Sorry, I just had to get it in there.
Yeah,
My DM's going crazy here.
yeah. Sometimes it really be like that, man. So I mean, you said you weren't playing any private servers. I mean, have you been playing retail since before
No,
Classic?
I have been playing private servers. I play
Oh,
a good
okay.
amount of private servers, just not with the guild
All your
specifically.
guild,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, okay.
I've been
Okay.
playing a decent amount of private servers.
Wait, what
Gotcha.
servers did you play? I played Phoenix and Warmain and Dalaran WoW and Gamer District. So you play any of those? You play anything else?
I played all those
Uh,
minus gamer.
no, I think those are all recent, right? If
Warmain is
I'm not mistaken.
kind of
Well,
old and then it died.
yeah, Warmade's like the last kind of server I played on. Basically, like as soon as TBC is my favorite expansion, at least for PvE content and like
For
social
sure.
stuff and stuff. So as soon as it ended, I created a character on the arena tournament server. I don't know if you heard of that one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was like for
Smolderforge.
Well, it didn't start as Smolder Forge. It started as just arena tournament. It was just basically like
Yeah.
just a dueling server, and like I went there for dueling. I played a lot of PvP on Wrath, and then as soon as Wrath ended, like Cataclysm, I wasn't like a big fan of that. So we did a lot of arena tournament duels and arena.
Mhm.
Well, that's the name would suggest, I guess, for TBC and Wrath. That's I played a good amount of that, especially on arena tournament, which then became Warmain Blackrock, I believe, is the server name.
Mhm.
On BlackRock specific, and I did a good amount of that. And I've also played Nostalrius, but I guess everybody did, huh?
I
Mhm.
actually did not. I'm like the one guy who did not play Nostalrius. I never played vanilla
Really?
private servers. I never played vanilla.
Yeah,
It just
neither did
wasn't that
I,
interesting
honestly.
to me. TBC is always my favorite, and vanilla I had never done the raids, but like it just never interested me that much.
Yeah, I'm not
Mhm.
the biggest fan of vanilla either, but like all my friends were like hyped about it, so I had to play with them. It's like
Yeah, I definitely did. I was hyped about it for classic, like Blizzard's version, but
Yeah, I mean, so you were saying you were playing some Wrath of the Lich King servers. So that means you have some plans coming into Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Yeah.
yeah. I'm definitely gonna play Wrath. Like, definitely it's gonna be a version of the sim and a version of the spreadsheet coming out for that. I don't know if I'm gonna be as focused on Paladin because there's a lot more specs that like for Wrath, like Destruction Warlock is really big on that, and other stuff like that. And
Mhm.
especially since I was like almost 100% focused on PvP during Wrath. I basically only did PvE in Wrath for like the trinkets I needed for Arena because like you were just gonna lose.
yeah.
You didn't have like the goodies. You didn't have like the one that transformed you to whatever it was and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But this time around, I do plan to do some more PvE, so there will be like a spreadsheet and a sim and stuff like that. But pretty hyped for it overall.
I'm sure the sim will be much easier to create for Wrath than it is right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I'm looking excited. I'm excited for Wrath, I'm going to level the Ret just as like an alt, but overall, dude, I'm very excited for Wrath.
Or playing main.
Honestly I honestly don't know if I'm gonna like what I'm gonna do. If they do like TVC Season of Mastery, if they end up doing that and it overlaps with Wrath, I might just do TVC Season of Mastery. Like,
Man,
but I am hyped for Wrath. I did do ICC back in the day, like once or twice, and it was fun. I love seal twisting so much.
Mhm.
It's like it's such
Yeah,
a it's like the best part of the class, and not having. I mean, Divine Storm is cool. Don't get me wrong.
it's
It's
gonna
just
be a
like
difficult choice for sure.
so
Yeah.
different, yeah,
It
and Ret's
also
gonna be a little bit weak at the start, I think.
It plays so different, especially if you start on the last patch right away, where they've like changed like the seals and everything like that. It's just it plays so differently. I don't know if I'm like that's why I said like I might try other stuff as well. To be honest.
yeah, and someone did say it does rely on heavily on the mastery changes
Yeah,
that could hit
true.
TBC. I mean, I guarantee you that there will be a chicken change during that.
Yeah, for
If
Well,
there
sure.
is
they
if there
might.
isn't one now,
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say there might be one now.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
if there isn't one now, but there are probably other things that they'll definitely change, and I think that'll definitely switch the meta up. But
you
honestly,
know,
man, I've done so much TBC that I don't really know if I can do it again. And if I do it again, I think I would just play Fury. I think that's just
that's
what I would
a.
do.
I think that's a good question for you guys. Is what do you think they should do about chicken? While we're on the topic.
Um, Personally, I like chicken as it is.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no, dude.
I like I
I
like
think
chicken as it is. But that's just
I
me.
think I think trouble's brewing, dude. I think trouble's brewing here. No, we've had quite a long discussion about it with Servo already, but I think they definitely need to change something about it. I don't think it's a good thing that like a random vanilla engineering item is like dominating every profession out there by such a huge gap. It's like leatherworking was like pulling slightly further ahead than other professions, and they quickly changed that. But it's like engineering is now like miles ahead of everything
It
else, and that's
is,
okay.
yeah.
It's an order of magnitude better. Like it's so much. Like 27% haste is. It's absolutely bonkers. Like that. It
Yeah,
literally. Like they were saying, drums trivializes the content by stacking drums.
Hmm.
that's
This
5%. Yeah,
definitely trivializes the content,
yeah.
even though it's already pretty easy. But
Sometimes it is a little difficult though to get it to stack. Sometimes it doesn't proc, and even though you do try all the tricks, and all that mechanics and stuff like that, but sometimes it just doesn't go.
well, what
Yeah,
I don't like about it, I mean, I always have success when I use like the sacrifice trick.
Hmm.
It always works unless my chicken dies within 5 seconds.
but that's
Gotcha.
just it, isn't it? To me, it's just really simple. They need to decide if they want it, to keep it that powerful as it is, if they're okay with it being 27% West, I think nobody should be, to be honest. Like 27% is just kind of outrageous. Or if they want to tone it down a little bit, and I think if they decide that they want to keep it either as a 5% or 27%, whatever, they need to make it so it's more reliable. I think because you can proc it as a paladin, but other classes don't really have that available to them, right? So it's
Yeah.
like if your warrior friends or just your group can't proc it, you're kind of cucked out of a parse for that
And it's
boss fight.
like it's annoying because the whole raid has to sit there while the melee get their chickens going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the one other thing is like the chicken. It's like you said, it's such a order of magnitude better than other professions, and like
Yeah.
it's inconsistent game design to like leave it in like that. But it's also like I remember back in early phase 2, chicken meta wasn't really caught on yet, and you could still do like 99s and 100s. Like you might have had a little bit of a harder time getting a 100, but you could still do it easily. Like if you had the right conditions and everything. You can't get a 100 anymore unless you have
Yeah,
chickens.
exactly. Well,
It's
not just a
impossible.
100, but like just high 99s as well. I feel it's like
Yeah.
The
when other people are stacking 27% haste, what do you do? It's like,
the part that worries me when I saw that post was the word that they used. They used tinnitus. So
Yeah, that's
I don't
bad.
want
yeah,
them to do a debuff. Now, if they made it
I
to
agree. I
just
agree.
one per, that's perfect. So then you can just keep them running and stuff like that. But giving us a debuff, like, oh,
All
that
they
would
need
be
to do
so
is
bad.
make them unstackable. That's the only change, in my opinion, they need to make. Just make
I,
it so you can't stack them.
Yeah.
You could refresh them, but you can't stack them, and that solves the whole issue. If like he said tinnitus, and that bugged me because what if they just made it the same? I mean, obviously he said this is kind of like off the top of my head, and
Mm-hmm.
please poke holes in this or whatever. But
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah.
obviously, if it was tinnitus shared with drums, that would be awful.
Mm-hmm.
Because
It
then
would
you
be.
would just totally obsolete leatherworking for the melee group.
I do like it as a concept that it's like this like small thing you can do to increase your DPS. I just think it's just too strong and too unreliable. I think if they just made it 5% as you said, or if they just tone it down somewhat in some way, and if they then made it so just a guarantee squawk as soon as you press it, I think it would just feel a lot better to use, and you
Yeah,
wouldn't feel like
I like the guaranteed squawk, like you said. I think that's good.
yeah.
It gets rid of
Mm-hmm.
that RNG, and it's like you never feel bad that you popped chicken and it didn't proc,
Mm-hmm.
because like you can pretty much always get it to proc. Like I like that a lot, and I think they need to keep that because some people were saying that they should get rid of the guaranteed so that there's like it isn't always up. But like if you get rid of that, people are they're still gonna get their squawks. It's just like it's gonna be RNG, so it's gonna be like, oh well, this guy got lucky and he got 5 squawks and now he got to
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
go ham.
And
Yep.
also, if they do the combination of those two things, if they do so, it's a guaranteed swap, so you just press it and it also does not stack. Then what that will do is you will always have it for every boss fight because someone in your group's gonna have it. So it's not gonna be
Mm-hmm.
like, oh,
Yeah,
you have to wait for you have to go kill trash in order to go fight the boss. You don't have to do stuff like that anymore. I think it's just
yeah,
a massive quality of life change in that way.
and you don't need 5 engineers. You only need like 2 or 3.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I
Just
mean,
with
So
just like with leatherworking.
yeah, it could be good, but I do like the boots. I do like boots. I like sappers. You know,
Yeah.
honestly, those are kind of
oh
nice.
yeah,
I think a lot of people find
I
engineering
would be
fun.
engineer anyway without chicken. I would be
I
engineer
think so
anyway.
too. Yeah, I
Same,
think so
same.
as well. It's just a
A lot of people
great.
just like engineering, but I
Mhm.
just think it's not good to have it mandatory. That's all. Just like, same with leatherworking. It's just that the thought that you have to have this profession was what made it bad,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started TBC, like Blizzard's version, I was kind of upset about the drum change because like it was fun to have that haste all the time. Like I just want to do as much damage as possible, but like now that they've changed that and I'm free to not be a leather worker, I see the benefit. Like now I'm like, okay, it was a good change, and even though I do less damage, like the content's already like not requiring it, so it's
Um,
like I don't want to
just a parsing
trivialize
thing.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that it took us 10 minutes to get the chicken. By the way, should we just get DST and Cursed Vision out of the way as well while we're at it?
Well, I think we should save that for a little bit
We'll get
later.
there. We'll
Yeah,
get
we'll get there.
there.
We'll get there for sure.
All
Um,
right, I'm good with that.
but I guess moving on from the chickens, man. Do you play any other games other than WoW?
Well, I played a good amount of them. Where we're just playing Overcooked with a friend, but nothing as serious as well. Really, I used to play card games quite a bit. I was Legend Ran and Hearthstone, and I was
Ooh.
big into card games in general. But has been a while since then. Just WoW takes up so much of your time, especially when you're a guild master.
Yeah, dude, I bet. I couldn't imagine being a guild master, honestly. That's something I don't want to be an officer. You know, that's a little too
Yeah.
much.
I can, a lot of people don't really like that responsibility. I can tell you there's a good reason why. It's not what people make it out to be.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work for sure.
Yep.
So I got a little bit of a flavor question here. What is your favorite snack to munch on while you're gaming?
Okay, that's the question. I was like, what? That actually kind of, funnily enough, it plays into the previous question with the guildmaster thing I was just talking about, because
Okay.
I never have time to make any food before the raid, because I'm always just like, I just go home, I need to prepare for the raid, I have time to do like absolutely nothing. I need to get like everything ready, and I'm like on my computer, then I start playing. So it's like my favorite snack is whatever's in the fucking cupboard. It's like you're just gonna be either pot noodle or like I don't know, potato chips or whatever's in there, because it's like I don't have time for this.
Gotcha.
When you said related to the last question, I thought you were gonna say chicken nuggets
Oh my god.
Ooh, that
because
would
of
be
the
good.
chicken question.
Okay,
That would have
okay.
been good.
I should have maybe gotten it out of the way first thing then, because I'm actually vegan, so that just offended me right there, sir.
Oh
But
wow. Hey,
Oh.
I can't believe you would say
well,
that. It's
I'm actually a vegan too, so I mean,
oh,
we got
there we go.
two soy boys in the mix, guys.
Wait, you guys actually both vegan?
I am. I mean,
Oh wow.
I'm
I'm,
not
I'm
super strict about it. I don't like call myself a vegan or like I'm not like super. I don't super like I'm not super into it. I just don't eat meat and I barely ever eat dairy. Like just because like it's the health thing, you know. It's not like I mean it is also the animal rights thing or whatever, but it's just mostly like my health, my personal. Like I don't push it on anybody or anything like that. And you know
okay,
I
Keep
bro.
do
it simple.
I do
If you
cheat.
eat the chicken,
It's based.
how's it gonna squawk for you if you eat it?
This is very true. This is very true.
It doesn't work that way. Save the
Uh,
chicken.
yeah, dude, I mean, so thinking about the chickens, thinking about all that, it's good, it's great. Um, People want to hear about the RetSim. So my man Pride is, if you could please give us a little tour on this. How did it come about? You know, who helped with this, and what exactly is it basically?
Okay, so it's a bit of a long story. I'll try to condense as much as I can. But basically, as
You
I
got
mentioned,
time. Don't worry, man.
okay, that's good. That's good. Basically, I was back in Classic. Actually, back in the day, back in Vanilla, I played Warlock mostly. So I was gonna play Warlock again, but due to a series of unfortunate accidents, let's just say, I ended up playing Red Paladin instead, because I was leveling my Warlock with my girlfriend. She took a break for a little bit, so I ended up leveling my Paladin past my Warlock. So I ended up maining the Paladin. It's just super long story, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. And as a result of that, I was like, oh fuck, I don't really know that much about vanilla Red Paladin. It's like I know a lot about TBC Red Paladin, but I don't really know like stuff about gearing and stuff. So I made like a real simple spreadsheet in order to find like which items are best, because like vanilla Red Paladin resources are just a complete joke. Like it was just some guy that just came up with stuff like off the top of his head like all the time. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a simple tool to just give me simple answers. Like I don't know, it's like Onslaught Girdle better than the fucking Blackwing Lair build, because that was
Mm-hmm.
something that people were actually asking back then. Turns out, yeah, it's a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So people ended up using my spreadsheet. They liked it, so I kept improving it, and it became what it ended up being. And eventually, I made the TPC version that you I think sort of used quite a bit. But that entire time, I had people, saying like, how does this work with procs? How does that proc work and stuff like that? Which is like spreadsheets are good, but they can't really answer like precise rotation questions. So I thought, maybe it'd be a fun project to try.
Mm-hmm.
So the entire time I was considering doing it, but I didn't really have the time to do it or the energy to do it. But there was this one weird German guy called Sulis that was like, "Yo, we should totally do a sim." So I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do a sim." And that's kind of how it came to be, because a lot of people were asking for it. Basically, I was getting a lot of DMs like, "Are you gonna make a sim? Are you gonna make a sim?" I made
Yeah,
a sim, I guess.
a lot of people were dying. I remember there's a lot of frustration in like the Ret community about we don't have a sim, we can't justify our loot to other people. Like
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we were talking in Fight Club about DST, we were talking about like okay, well the spreadsheet says DST is this good, but we know it's a little bit undervalued because of these factors. And they were like, well, how can you justify your DST based on any of this? You don't have a sim. You say the spreadsheet, is inaccurate in certain ways, and it's obviously isn't simulating it to the
Mm-hmm.
degree that a sim does. So it's like it starts to like become this thing where it's like, well, how do you justify your own loot prios for different items that are going to be really good for us? Because we don't have any like really good hard data to back anything up. And there's like everybody was dying for a sim for so long, like everybody's freaking out
Well,
about it.
honestly, that was one of the things I just kind of kept irritating me throughout, because it's like now that we do have the same, like most of the numbers are pretty similar, if not like identical almost. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
true.
They
it's
are
like
very close.
it's
Yes.
like so it's like
I don't
people
know.
just basically have a misunderstanding of the types of things that, like, like the numbers that come up. People are like saying, oh, it's just an average. Well, that's what the fucking sim does. If you do 10,000 runs and you take the average, it will give you the same thing as a spreadsheet.
There are some differences. Like I did notice that with the spreadsheet, you have to like manually edit like the twist delay and the twist ratio and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the sim adjusting it dynamically, what I found is that it definitely favors haste more than the spreadsheet did.
Yeah, but if you just plug the numbers that you got from the average of the sim into the spreadsheet, you're pretty much going to get like the same number, plus
Yeah,
minus
yeah.
some small things. The types of things that I was mostly interested in answering with just the sim alone is like rotation stuff. Like, for example, how much of a difference does it make to start with a twist rather than a Crusader Strike? How much of a difference does it make to, like delay Crusader Strike by 2,000 milliseconds? Stuff like that, which is the spreadsheet can't really do too well.
Mhm.
But like, how much DPS does DSD give? The same did pretty. The spreadsheet did a pretty good job of that apparently. So, yeah, it's something that people definitely spam me about. It's like, yo, I need a DSD answer. Give me a sim.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the most difficult thing because people definitely didn't believe us at all without the sim.
Uh, yeah, I don't know.
In
That's
terms
something
of
I
other
think.
classes that are.
Well, like you also had this issue with like I don't know, this discrepancy between your spreadsheet and Dulkin's spreadsheet.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Like,
that's. I think that's mostly just a because I know a lot of people know this, but me and Dolkin actually coordinated on our spreadsheets. I took his data and he took my calculations. His thing at first was just like you plug in your EPs and then it just gives you like a number thing. So he wanted to turn the numbers that he got from that into actual damage calculations. So we cooperated and he took my calculations. So he used my calculations anyway. So if there was differences, it was probably because he used like older versions of my calculation. I kept updating my
mm,
spreadsheet throughout. I think he just had like older versions.
I gotta say, I think a lot of people got turned off to his spreadsheet when that guy came into our Discord to make the DST chart that had the like how good DST is for every class, and he totally botched both the spreadsheets. But he botched Tolkien so hard that it was only like 18 DPS or
Oh
something.
yeah, yep.
And I think as soon as people saw that, they were like, "I'm not using that spreadsheet anymore." Like I guarantee you, a lot of people thought that.
Yep. I thought
I
it
thought
too.
that.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
did.
that.
Yeah, I did too.
That's also probably kind of an unfortunate byproduct of the fact that we're splintered into 3 different discords, because like I know people like on my Discord and on the Pound Discord were definitely using my sim more than Dawkins, but I think most of Light Club was using Dawkins at the time. So like I had never heard of that personally before. I was not in Light Club until I don't know, like
Mm,
very late on.
Yeah, every time I do push your spreadsheet, but now I've been pushing the sim. When somebody asks, well, I've been putting it in the spreadsheet. I'm like, no, use the sim now. Use the
yeah,
sim.
Yeah,
and you know what? People still ask me all the time to sim stuff for them, and I'm like,
yeah.
no, go sim it yourself.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it for you.
that is the number one thing I learned after making my classic spreadsheet. Like the most basic question that the spreadsheet can answer, people are gonna ask like 50 times per day anyway, even if it's like pinned, even if it's like right there. You know what I
Oh
mean? Even
yeah.
if
Hmm.
it doesn't matter. But yeah, just to finish the sim story, because I was just kind of in the middle of it. So yeah, like back in August, then me and Solis, we decided we'd start working on the sim. He did most of the UI work. I basically did none of that because I'm not really good with UIs, and he also worked a lot on the event system that we use for the sim. I did most of the like actually WoW related stuff, like the damage calculations and the formulas, the spell effects, how spells work,
Hmm.
stats, stuff like that. And we just kind of kept at it, worked on it for a while, and now it's here. So yeah, me and Sulis, we did it together. Don't want to take credit. I'm not that type
Hmm.
of guy. If you have any questions on how to use it, please ping Sulis on Discord. That's Sulis. He's happy to answer any questions you have.
Yeah. So I guess you can get it from here at this GitHub location. And you download it. Yes, correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have me on right now, ready? So if you're on this page, which will probably be linked everywhere, if you bother looking for the same in any of the Discords, there's going to be a releases button right here. You press it, takes you to this page. If you are watching this video at a later time, there's going to be other versions here. Hopefully, something really bad happened to us. You want to scroll down and go to assets. There's going to be this little thing here, winx64.zip. You click it and it downloads. There's going to be very detailed guides on how to do everything related to the sim on our wiki. So if you go up here and then click wiki, it has literally a guide for everything. I took a lot of time to make sure it's as thorough as it can be, but I could do just a quick demonstration while we're at it anyway. After you've done that, it'll be a zip file on your computer. You right click it, extract it, it creates a folder, which you then open, and here you got a bunch of files. This is the one that you want, RetSim desktop. It has a nice Paladin icon. You double click it, and it starts the sim. This is the sim. Anything specific you want me to talk about? Well,
It does have a very nice icon for sure.
that's custom made by my girlfriend, by the way. Thank you, Sophia.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's very nice.
We did not want to get sued by Blizzard, so we.
Why don't you go through the settings and show people that stuff?
How it works.
Okay, so
Yeah.
basically, just with my spreadsheet, my idea was that this needs to be as beginner friendly as possible, just to minimize the amount of time that people have to put in to get it to work, and also learning how to work and stuff like that. So it's by default when you start, it's going to have some BIS gear. This is currently phase 2 BIS gear, but it's going to be upgraded to phase 3 BIS gear when it comes out. It's going to be your gear. You can change it right here. If you go into any of these tabs, you can select your gear. And then you have the settings tab. We've also done the same thing for the settings tab. There's going to be some basic settings that I feel are pretty realistic for most people, like your buffs down here. You got a warrior in your group. You have battle shout. You have shaman totems and unleash rage, charisma, all the good stuff. And basically, you just toggle these settings. You change them around to customize to your specific raid setup and whatever group you're in. I know a lot of paladins, for example, might not be in a shaman group because their guild hates them. So you would just click here, disable Wind Fury.
Oh my god.
And you probably don't want to sim afterwards because the number you're gonna get is gonna be way too sad. There's a setting for pretty much everything. Again, the wiki has a detailed guide on all of this stuff. You can change. The main ones that you might want to change is the phases, because we're going to phase 3, so you'll want to enable phase 3 obviously to be able to see the new gear that's coming in phase 3. And then you might want to change the boss fight. If you don't really know anything about boss armor, if you're not like a super hardcore nerd like us, just leave this on my third on. Change your race, so that's pretty important. And
Sorry, I'm gonna change the size of this a little bit so we can see it more.
Yeah, so on that topic, I just do Magtheridon for high armor and Ilhoof, Terrestrian Ilhoof for low armor, and then I usually just use those two.
Yeah, basically, if you want to test for just one specific boss fight, you could absolutely push that. Like we're gonna add the new boss fights in Black Temple and Hydro. But if you don't know what you're doing, I would just recommend you leave it here because it's like the most standard boss fight you can have.
High armor is pretty common.
One of my questions here, I guess for that encounter, does that include melee uptime? Does it include, mechanics type of that thing, or is it just based on the armor and the type of boss that they are?
Right. We get. I'm just gonna take 1 second to show this real quick because we get that type of question very often. We actually have, if you go on the wiki, there's a section here, upcoming changes and considerations, which lists all of the changes that we're already planning to make, so you don't have to ask. So the first thing you can see here, support for multiple battle squawks. That's the first thing we're gonna do, and then the Crusader Strike delay thing. I know Serv is super hyped about that one. He's been asking quite a lot.
Yeah. I'm still gonna ask you about it. Don't worry, it's coming.
Yeah. I was assuming so, but what was the other question you asked me just now? I lost my train of thought just now.
I did too.
Frick, sir, what was it? Someone in the chat, please save us. What was the other question?
Oh no. About melee uptime on bosses.
Oh
yeah.
Mechanics
uptime, yeah.
Okay, so to talking specific about that, then that is actually planned. Just uptime in general, both for attacking and for buffs and debuffs, like exposed weakness. Right now, exposed weakness has 100% uptime. That's obviously not 100% realistic, but this system is actually one of the more how to put it, like chunkier ones to implement. It takes a lot of performance out of it, so we can't really it is high in the priority chain, but it's hard to implement, so it's probably not going to be in the next version. It's going to be a while
Gotcha.
before we get that in. I'm happy to talk about other stuff that's coming up, but if anybody wants to check before they ask a question, they're more than welcome to. Click on the wiki, upcoming changes and considerations right here. You can see a bunch of changes that are definitely coming.
Yeah, this wiki is pretty it's a pin worthy area, man. I mean, people reading the pins, people reading the FAQ. This is definitely where to go, you know.
Yep. It's for that exact reason, because it's like some of these questions, like the battle chicken thing, I can't even begin to tell you how many DMs I got that. Like
Oh,
when like
I guarantee it. Yeah. I mean, I was gonna ask you it. I know you saw it on the on the itinerary for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. I mean, so that's a pretty good one. So could you explain a little bit how to exactly use the sim, just so that people can they understand like choosing the gear, simulating the gear, and all that type of stuff.
Okay, so after you've selected the settings you want to be using, like your
Hmm.
talents, your buffs, your debuffs, your consumables, and your gear and stuff like that here, it's just really simple. You hit the DPS button in the bottom left, and what it does, it will run. It will simulate a fight with however many times you have in this box, so 10,000 by default, and it will give you an average DPS number that you got from all these settings. In this case, 2100. On its own, that's probably not too useful for most people, which is why we have the other feature that I know was very popular in other sims, um, which we focused on implementing, which is comparing stuff. So
Hmm.
if I have Gloves of the Searing Grip and I want to see, okay, how good are Vengeful Gladiator Scaled Gauntlets in Phase 3, you can check those here and check everything else by hitting the check on the top. Check as many items as you want to compare. Where the fucking Searing Grip lost them again. Here we go. And you want to hit this Sim Gear DPS button in the bottom right, which will then run 10,000 simulations, which is the amount I said here, for both of them. And it will give us a final DPS number at the end that shows how good they are. So for this specific example, for some unforeseen reason, it turns out that Vengeful Gladiator's gloves are better than Searing Grip. I probably over expertised. Oh, I guess I'm using expertise like somewhere else or something. Yeah, I'm using Shatter Leggings. I need to change that
Okay.
for sure, for sure, because I guess this is a human. Okay, so it's over expertise, but yeah, this will give you an easy way to compare two items or as many items you want. The
Hmm.
more items you select, the longer the simulation will take. But that is probably the most useful feature for people. This the one that people have been asking for the most, comparing different items.
So selecting all the items on the left, putting a check mark in them, is how you compare the DPS between the items, correct?
Yes, yes.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So,
And then
well, these are
highlighting it is just how you actually equip the item.
yes, yes. It's exactly the same as
Hmm.
the Guybrush sim for any warrior players that
Hmm.
used it back in the day.
Hmm. So, I have a question. Me personally. So when you equip those items and stuff like that, is there a chance that we get like an area just so that we see like a full character panel that has like all our gear on it, or is it just are we gonna stay with the clicking on there? I don't know. You know, that's
You
just a
mean like
question. Like
you mean
like
like
maybe
the
like instead of not instead of underneath the statistics and stuff like that, will it have like a a page or something like that?
you mean like similar to like the wallhead or the whatever the page that shows your gear like this, or your character
Yeah,
sheet?
yeah.
Yeah.
We're definitely considering that. It's just that's on the UI side, which is not strictly speaking necessary. So like
Yeah,
if you look at
absolutely.
here again, there's so many more things that are actually functional and are way bigger priority. So
Oh, for sure.
that is we're definitely considering that, but it's like I know that Solis is probably also really tired from doing UI stuff nonstop. So we're so we're doing some of this stuff for now. Like the
He
next
might
version is
be.
probably not going to have like the only major UI change it's going to have. We're probably going to have some sort of UI interface for the Crusader Strike delay thing for the super nerds to play around with.
Hmm.
You know who we
Ooh.
are. Um, it's not going to have any other major UI changes for just the next version. It's probably going to be just under the hood stuff.
Hmm.
So I have a question from Noon TV. He says, when creating a sim, how do you determine the values given? Are they based on previous knowledge or player examples? Do you take the absolute low end possibilities because RNG things can obviously make the DPS raise above what numbers are given? Well, yeah, I'll let you answer that. I was gonna say I have a little
Sorry,
bit of an answer to that myself, but I want to hear what you would say to that.
sorry, can you repeat that just because I'm not sure if I understood you.
Yeah, when creating a simulation, how do you determine the values given? I assume he means like, the formulas for damage and stuff like that.
Oh,
I mean, it's all taken from a database, right?
no, you would be surprised. There's some basic numbers that we as players have access to, but a lot of it is just kind of like data mined. Before we made the sim, me and Sulis, we actually went on the PTR for like, I don't know, maybe a week, and we just like kept testing different stuff until I was like 100% confident in my damage formulas. We had to manually like there is some like well-known formulas, like, you know, like how much damage does your weapon do when you attack with that, but like for under the hood stuff, in order to make sure that like every talent, every different spell like that like worked, we just, you know, had a base formula. We tested in game by, you know, doing a lot of really weird stuff that you probably wouldn't do as a regular player, and then we just compared against my predicted numbers until we got it right, basically.
Okay, so and then for the RNG side of that question, it's just like the more simulations you do, the less RNG there is, obviously. So just run more
Mhm.
simulations and you eliminate all the variance. I've found personally that after 25 or 30K, there's really no more variance.
Yeah. So that's the whole point of letting you configure how many runs you can do. We've set it to 10,000 by default because we feel that gives you like a pretty good base number to work with. If you wanted to go more accurate, you'd increase this to reduce RNG, because yeah, you're gonna have some times where you have like sick crits. You're gonna have some times when you have like a lot of dodges in a row, even though you're like
Mhm.
close to the expertise cap. But the more you increase this number, basically, the smaller of an impact that's gonna have. So that's why this is here. We If you don't have a good computer, you can set it lower, but yeah, I think 10,000 is a good base point. I think, as you said, after 20,000, 30,000, there's not as much to gain out of it anymore, so it's
Mhm.
only if you're like want to be like
Yeah,
super precise, but
it's like
not really much of a
diminishing
point.
returns. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so I have a question about the gem area there. Is there are we gonna is there gonna be a
This one, huh?
change in the gemming area, or is there gonna be like a gem rework and stuff like that? I know Critic is asking how to actually change the gem.
Yeah, that is one thing that we're not too happy with right now, but we had to make do with what we had in order
Right.
to get a
Understandable.
release out after 4 months. In order to change the gem, you double click on the socket, and it will give you this little pop up here for gems. It's not very intuitive right now, I know, but we're planning to change it with like icons and stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, Not sure if it's going to be the next version. It might be the version after that. It's definitely pretty high in the priority though, because usability is pretty big, obviously. Um, but yeah, if an item has square brackets around, this is the socket color, by the way. So there's a yellow thing here. It says yellow, and just dashes here. That means it's just one socket and its color is yellow. If it has square brackets around it, it means there's currently a gem inserted into it. If you mouse over, it tells you what gem it is. You can double click and then you can change it. It's not the best system right now, we know, but
Hmm.
it was pretty fast to make, so we had to focus on functionality
It
over.
definitely works. It definitely works for sure. I
Yeah,
just remember I've gotten a couple gem questions about it for sure. Just
it is.
bait, yeah.
Again, if you go here, it's definitely somewhere around here.
I think
It's
it's
quite a
up
lot
there,
of
right there.
changes.
Filters for items and gems, medium.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty big on priority, at least.
yeah. I'm assuming that multiple battle squawks is contingent on the next
Yeah,
blue post for sure.
it's one of those things where I'm kind of hoping Blizzard does nerf it then, because I don't need to implement in that case. But you know,
um, so talking about creating the sim and stuff like that, and I think Sulis might be here as well. I mean, what was you guys' like most fun thing about making it, or what was the hardest and most difficult thing about making it?
um, fun, honestly, the most fun is just seeing it work. That was the most fun part about it, because you won't believe like how much work goes into making the sim, and how much of it is like extremely frustrating. It sounds straightforward, but it's like there's some
Hmm.
things that like there's like a tiny bug, and like my guy just keeps attacking slightly too fast, or like there's something wrong with like haste, because like when you lose haste, your guy will attack slower for that swing, so we had to like recalculate some stuff like that. And it's like, ugh, why doesn't this work? So after like, I don't know, like 3 hours, and it finally works, you're like, fuck yeah, like it actually works now. That was good to see, like, oh yeah, it actually does what it's supposed to do in game.
Hmm.
And doing the test also was actually kind of fun, because it's like we actually got like a really intimate understanding of the game that you wouldn't like expect to ever need in your life, but for this kind of stuff you do.
Yeah, that's kind of
So,
just like the double answer right there, both the fun and the hardest part.
how many hours do you think you poured into creating it? Is it like a 1,000, 2,000 hour type project,
That's a good
or
question. I'm curious too.
because like I've played like almost 5,000 hours of Counter Strike, and like that sucked up years of my life. So
Probably closer to 200, I'd say.
200. Wow, that's
Wow.
Yeah, I
that's
mean, I mean, I mean,
slow.
you lose track of it after a while, and it's especially when you're just debugging because it's like you're doing it the same thing over and over, over and over. So it's
Mhm.
like, there was like 5 days in a row when I was trying to fix this one bug that I had, and I was like, I don't even know how many hours I put into it right now. But it's like that's why the more useful metric to check is like like lines of code better than time,
Mhm.
because it's like, yeah. But just to correct on what you said, that was actually not even close to being the hardest part. The hardest part before is just the performance aspect, because like you can fix a lot of the problems that you have eventually, but you can't really do much about the fact that inherently this is a super performance critical application, which is
Yeah.
basically Nerd's way of saying if you have a potato PC, this is not going to run too well. But we
Mhm.
do want to support potato PCs. Like, we recognize that most people out here are not going to have like sick i7s and stuff like that. So the biggest challenge that we had while actually making the sim is doing stuff like adding features that do not compromise the performance, because red paladins are significantly more complicated than other classes, to put
Oh
it
yeah.
mildly. There's
Mhm.
just so many procs, there's so many janky mechanics that we have to do. Like, for example, we still haven't implemented Judgment of the Crusader refresh, because that would take a good bit of work, and it's not really the most important thing. It just
You
stays on
referring
forever,
to the
basically.
mana regen?
Yeah, but it's not just the
Okay.
mana regen. For example,
Yeah.
it's just the spell hit that also like procs, for example, Darkened Card Crusade, and for that reason, Darkened
Yes.
Card Crusade is a
So
bit weaker right now.
so on that topic, just real quick, does the sim like have you go at any point, and then like you don't do any good damage after that because you're just fucking
Uh,
oom?
no, we didn't implement mana either. It's like one of
Okay.
those things where like
Honestly, I
it's
think that's a good thing because you
yeah.
just assume you're always gonna have mana, and if you don't, you're probably playing it
It's right
improperly.
here. It's right here. We are going to implement it. It's going to be probably going to be like, it's going to be optional where if you wanted to
Yeah.
bother with the mana stuff or not.
Mhm.
But yeah, what I was saying was, because Paladins are just so janky, there's so many like weird mechanics, like the one I just explained with like Darwin Carson and stuff like that. You have to add a whole bunch of stuff that only comes into play for like some very specific situations, and it has a performance impact. So you have to keep balancing, like, okay, this thing, it makes my sim technically more accurate, but it like adds like, I don't know, like 1 second for every 10,000 iterations, which is like, it doesn't sound big, but if you want to compare, I don't know, like 10 items, suddenly you're looking at like a 10, 20 more seconds. So that was like the biggest challenge overall. It was like making sure that everything we add is actually well tested and it doesn't kill the performance in some way.
Yeah, I mean, I never got as much use out of my 16 core processor as when I downloaded the sim.
Oh my god, man.
So for gaming it's like whatever, but for the sim, I really appreciated going with the AMD 16 core.
Yeah, yeah. That was one of the earliest things we implemented. Like, it was not strictly speaking a functional change, but Sulis added multi-core support, because yeah, it's like we want to compare stuff to see if we're doing it right on the sim in general. So it's like if you have to spend, I don't know, like 1 minute per sim, it's not going to work. So yeah,
Oh
we were like,
yeah,
oh,
Mhm.
okay, multi-core support like right now, as soon as we did the UI, basically.
Oh man.
that's
Uh,
funny.
so could you go through the stat weights area?
Yeah, that's something that probably only super nerds are going to be interested in, but maybe some people in general as well. So
Mhm.
if you click on the start weight button here, what's going to do is it will take your selected gear that you have in this page here.
Mhm.
You can select as many stats as you're interested in. Let's just say, I don't know, let's go with 8 for now. My computer has 8 cores, so it's always going to be done in one batch. Let's take these, how many did I just click? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my god, I'm a numbers god here. Okay. And then you hit this button here at the bottom, sim stat weights. What it will do is it will run one sim at the start, which will be the baseline sim. It will be the same as this one down here. We'll basically see how
Mhm.
much damage you do in general. And then we'll do 10k sims for every stat that you selected, which is the number we selected here. And basically what this will do is it will see how much DPS do you do if you have +1 of this stat. So when this is done, I can already see kind of
So
a
is that
definitive number here.
+1 based upon the gear that you already have?
Yes, yes. So
Gotcha.
if right now I have where's my strength? 547 strength,
Mhm.
and this says if I had 548, I would do 0.89 DPS more. This is very useful for add-ons like pawn. That's the kind of thing that people keep asking, and we are planning to add pawn support. I know it's been asked a billion times.
On support.
You,
What?
pawn the add-on. You not heard of it?
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it does EP weights for you in game. It's
Yeah,
it's
yes.
kind of cool, but it's
Oh, yeah,
also a
I
little
know
bit.
which one. Yeah, I know what you're
It's a
talking
little
about.
misleading too at
Mhm.
times.
Yeah, it can be definitely misleading, especially when people use it with like a baseline settings, where you just take these numbers, you input into the add-on, and it tells
Mhm.
you, okay, this item that you were like looking at right now, the new item you got is, I don't know, like a 10% stronger than the previous item, the item you
Yeah,
have on
Oh.
right
and
now.
obviously stat weights are
Yeah.
dynamic, so it's it
Yep.
can be
Mhm.
inaccurate in that regard.
It's not the most visually appealing design right now, but we actually did take a lot of effort to make sure that this is as accurate as it can be. We tried our best to eliminate randomness, because what you can end up having is, like, the 1 DPS variance. If I hit the button here again, it's 2108.4. If I hit it one more time, this will be slightly different. And you don't want this type of variance for that. Okay, so it's like 2 points off from what it was before. You
Mhm.
don't want this type of variance for this because it's such a small number. One strength only gives you 0.89 DPS. So if there was 2 DPS variance, this would be completely random. So we had to take a lot of effort to actually make sure that there's no randomness whatsoever here. This was a pretty precise number. We feel pretty comfortable with saying this is accurate.
So I guess board is asking, is there DPS per stat column planned? But that sounds like the column that's here.
Yes,
Yeah,
this
it's in
is
there.
that's
Okay,
a
yeah.
DPS delta. We will rename some of this stuff to make it kind of more clear, but yeah, that is what it is. DPS per stat
Gotcha.
is
Then what's the stat DPS? Is that just like the max?
it's how much stat it takes for 1 DPS of
Okay. Gotcha.
yeah,
Gotcha.
that was kind of more helpful in classic. I don't know if it's as useful anymore.
Mhm.
People care more about this than they care about this, but it is just a thing that
Yeah.
you can look at.
Well, that right side kind of makes sense to me though, but
Yeah.
I can also see the left side, a little bit doing a little more information
Yeah.
for sure.
Basically, 1 attack power gives you 0.37 DPS,
Mhm.
and it takes 2.65 attack power to gain 1 DPS. Is what
Gotcha.
you can read this as.
Yeah. So the statistics page is just basically a log of the Sims, yeah?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. I've spent a lot of time looking into the statistics page, but not as much as I want to, because we had this thing the other day where we were testing Blackened Naru Sliver for Phase 5, and when you turned Battle Chicken on, it gained like 30 DPS relative to DST. It went from like -10 below DST to like above by 20, and I was like, how can this happen? How can one chicken make this happen? But then you like look into the combat log, and it's because it changes your rotation. That 5% haste just slightly changes your rotation, and you end up getting an extra auto or an extra CS with that full attack power. And so it was like skewing it by so much. And then like even if you would, you know, do more simulations, even if you did like 25 30k, you'd still have this big variance because of like the rotational change. So like I was having trouble coming up with how good is Black and Naru Sliver actually. Well, it's actually going to be worse sometimes, and it will be better sometimes as well. More often, it will be better. But so I was
I
having
don't think.
trouble with that. But I looked into the combat log quite a bit, and I was surprised at just how detailed it is. And I mean, it's basically just the combat log you have in game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think it will ever be weaker. By the way, it's like some specific case breakpoints. It will not be like the massive DPS boost it can be. I think is what I ended up seeing, if I remember correctly
Yeah,
from
I
the.
I did see it lower than DST at points. Like
That's weird.
I was seeing it 5 to 10 worse occasionally, and then I was seeing it anywhere from like -12 to +23 is like the range that I saw.
That's
So
kind of a big difference.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
So it should be better most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also like, I mean, obviously, like we're probably one of the last classes that will ever get it, and it's not a huge upgrade compared to like everybody else, and
Yeah.
DST is still very, very good,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just like one of those things that like you can't give a concrete answer because there isn't one. It's so variable. It's like it just depends on so many factors. Like, what are you going to tell your guild that like, oh well, it's an upgrade for me when I have a chicken or something like that? Like,
If the chicken's still around by the time.
yeah, true,
Yeah.
true.
So the
Yeah.
top, I like the top portion of this, honestly, the damage breakdown.
Yeah, so basically, this entire section is kind of scuffed because this was like the kind of stuff that we used to debug the program before we had the UI. So we just took it from the debug section. We just just put it here. So it's not the prettiest thing. It's not the most expensive thing either. It just gives you some very basic numbers. You can check the minimum. Like you can. One of the coolest things I think you do is you can see what went wrong with like a minimum run. It's like, oh my god, this was like 400 DPS lower. You
Oh my
can see,
god.
okay, this guy didn't crit at all. This guy crit 23% of his attacks. Like, okay, it's kind of sad.
I didn't even see the minimum part. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah. You can check for right now. You can check the minimum, the maximum, and the median log to see like what actually happened, and you can do the same with the combat log.
Yeah.
The goal is to kind of have something similar to Warcraft logs. This is obviously very similar to Warcraft logs already, where you can see like a breakdown of all your abilities, how much damage they did, what the DPS was, how much they crit, and stuff like that. And then you have a detailed combat log, which
What
explains
I what I
everything
would
happened.
be most interested to see, I think, is average, like the average damage done by one Crusader strike, right? Because it's not on there right now, right?
No. I mean, you can calculate it very easily if you just divide the number by the
Yeah,
number of hits. But yeah,
yeah, I think that'd be a cool
um,
column to add, right? I mean, see what like your average was, and then like obviously Warcraft logs also has like that your max and your min, but I feel like that's a little bit less important, although cool to see.
I'm seeing a question
But
I'm definitely thinking of right now. Is it possible to have the sim make the in-game squawk sound when you press the sim now button? I think that is something we should definitely consider.
wow, that's
We're
amazing.
putting it on the major area for the wiki.
Definitely. That's you know what I'm doing? I'm gonna push a hotfix right now. Please update your
Or
sims, please.
or
Hmm.
or have it play a GIF of like in Breaking Bad when he gets the text that says polos, which is
Oh
like
my god.
Spanish word for chicken. Just
Hmm.
have it like play that.
Maybe have like a nice Solus, are you hearing this? Let's have a nice little chicken here walking around until the sim's done, maybe.
Yeah,
Hmm.
there
I
you
don't
go.
know.
So
But yeah,
since we're
this is
on that,
this entire
go ahead.
this entire section is kind of scuffed. Sorry, just to finish around, we do have plans to make this a lot better. Like I'm
Hmm.
thinking there's gonna be filters like same as in Warcraft logs where you can see like what each ability did. Um, we're thinking of having like a timeline view, in Warcraft logs where you can see like Crusader Strike here, Still Command here, and stuff like that. As like a nice like you can see what happened throughout the fight without looking at text. If you're not a text person, if you like looking at visuals instead with like background and
Hmm.
stuff like that, it's gonna be a bit better. But I think it's already mostly functional.
Oh, it's great. I love it.
Yeah, I like this page
It's
too a lot.
fantastic work.
Um,
I spend a lot of time there
so since
compared
we
to
were on
other pages.
the chicken, we're talking about cooldowns, and I know Serv has a good question about stacking cooldowns on this sim.
Oh yeah. You already know this because I asked you it the other day, but uh, obviously like I want the ability to have my stack my cooldowns with like a DST proc, because I mean it just kind of stands to reason that that would give DP like DST more of a relative increase. Because like if you have Brooch, right, and you put it in the sim, it's gonna stack Brooch like or any active trinket. It's gonna stack that with your wings and which happens like with Lust, right?
Hmm.
Depending on fight length because it's a little bit variable, but
Hmm.
because it depends like where Lust gets popped at and stuff. But anyway, so right now it pops like obviously everything it can with Lust, which if you do like a 2 or 3 minute fight, it'll be like 8 seconds in, it'll pop everything. But what I do is I typically wait obviously for a DST proc before I pop my wings and my brooch and stuff. And so I feel like that would favor some of these passive trinkets a little bit more if you had the ability to stack the like wings and haste pot with the passive proc if it doesn't impact like your ability to use another wings later on, waiting for that proc anyway. So like, is that something that might possibly happen in the future? The ability to like fish a DST proc and then stack your cooldowns with it? Because I feel like that might give it a little bit more of a boost.
Yeah, that might happen, but it's pretty complicated for three kind of reasons that I guess I can get into. The number one thing is that first of all, the thing that you said like stands to reason. That's the kind of thing that I've learned to completely do away with after using my spreadsheet and the sim for a long enough time because a lot of things that kind of intuitively make sense to us because we've been conditioned to think that way. They don't really pan out that much in reality. Like we did a lot of tests with stacking cooldowns versus non-stacking cooldowns manually, and like the end result was like less than 3 DPS difference. So it was like
Wow.
a lot of the times, just the thought of like encouraging people to play that way might end up having like a DPS decrease for real people rather than like a machine that can play perfectly. So for that reason, it was like, okay, it's something that we definitely want to do, but it does, we know that it doesn't make like a massive difference. So it's not like we're gonna
Hmm.
like kill ourselves over. It's gonna be something that will be like
So
necessarily like medium like priority or below.
so like you're saying that stacking DST with haze pot versus like staggering them really doesn't make a big difference at all. It's probably the
Yeah,
same.
yeah. There's some things do make a not a big difference, but they do make a real difference. For example, heroism, stacking that with haste potion because they work multiplicatively. So having both at once will give you necessarily a bigger increase than just having them separately. So it's not even just a stance reason thing; it's just like a common math thing. However, it's like in practice, it's a lot smaller than what most people understand because it's like if the fight
Mm,
is I don't know like 3 minutes long and you have haste potion for 20 seconds along with heroism, it's not like the difference will be huge. That's the kind of thing that we intuitively kind of thought, and then the sim quickly disproved. Like for example, like the openers I was talking about before. Like what's better, like Crusader Strike opener or like
Mhm.
Twist opener? It's like it doesn't matter. It's like one DPS difference, and it's like it's just
mm,
very so variable as well. It
Hmm,
doesn't even
that's
matter.
interesting.
And the other things that I was going to mention about is secondly, the other issue that you have is that it's a good idea, and we definitely do want to add some sort of cooldown stacking mechanism. Just if anything, just to check, does it make a difference or does it not? But the problem that we had is the thing I was mentioning before, where like some changes add a very big performance overhead. So I
yeah.
added, I like at first the sim would pop cooldowns at the first chance it could, and then it would just pop one cooldown, and that's the only cooldown stacking it did. Basically, just randomly would just pop them all at once. And when I added the cooldown manager, which tries to stack them together, that added like a full 1 second per 10k iterations, which is like
Mm,
Oh.
it's slightly too big of an impact for the actual DPS impact it has. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of
yeah.
hard to balance both of those
Mhm.
things at once.
I think the biggest thing that I was thinking about in regards to this was obviously DST was a big like thing I was thinking about, but like Blackened Artist Sliver, right? If that procs, if you pop like a haze pot and your wings and stuff once you get a couple stacks, like that's got to be it. At least in my feels craft, it feels like it would be a difference because you're stacking it faster and you have all that extra AP and you're popping wings on top. Like it feels like it would be a big
Yeah.
difference.
I think you said feel
So
so many times that a face mask probably is just like just pogging eye roll right now. She's super happy about it.
but I mean, I don't know. That kind of makes sense to me. So I mean, that's more of like the item. That's one of those items where people, it's still kind of like not certain how exactly how good it is yet, and that I feel like would have an impact. Maybe not a huge one, but
Yeah,
it'd
yeah,
be
it would.
something at least to look into, right? You know?
Yeah, yeah, it would. But and then there's the last thing that's probably like maybe the most important of things I mentioned so far. We have you don't really see it on the front end of the sim because we haven't really implemented anything like that. But we do have plans to add multiple tactics, which is how the sim actually operates, including like some sort of section where like you have like like perfect play and then like like average play, and then you can set like what your
Mm,
reaction
Ooh,
time is and
I
stuff
like
like that.
that.
And one of the things about that is because the thing you just mentioned is like you don't really know when DST is going to proc or if it is
Mhm.
going to proc in time at all. So it's like we could have the sim just like played super perfectly like that, but I don't know if that's really realistic. And I don't know. I don't know if I want to push like numbers that are so unrealistic. You know what I mean? Even if it was like a 10 DPS increase, if it's only something that you can do by like predicting the future, I don't really know if I'd want to be like, okay, that's the thing. I think that will probably be saved for like the perfect play AI. You know what I mean? Just stacking it with like DST
Mhm.
perfectly.
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That
It
sounds
already, it
really
already,
cool.
it's already kind of cheating because it's like how long does a fight last? Well, you've set it manually to have some
Mhm.
variance here. If you see by default, it's set to 160 seconds to 180 seconds.
Mhm.
Does how many uses of wings do you get? Well, in this specific scenario, like one tops. But if this was like 190, now you get two sometimes. So it's like basically the player in the sim has to be psychic to know exactly how long the fight will last in
Mhm.
order to tell these kind of things. And it's like it gets really complicated at that point. I don't want the player to be psychic unless you have, as the person running the sim, have set him to be psychic. You know what I mean?
So I got a
That's like
personal question here. Why is
mhm.
it milliseconds?
Yeah, that is that's kind of a nerdy answer.
I'd love to hear it.
We've had it asked quite a few times. But basically, computers don't really handle decimal numbers very well. So,
Gotcha.
in order to avoid that issue, you turn decimal numbers into integer numbers. So instead of saying, I don't know, 1.674 seconds, you would turn that into 1674 milliseconds, and now the computer doesn't have to do decimal numbers anymore. They can
Is
just
that
Oh
do.
because
wow.
of like rounding when you know?
Yes. It's like it's because of rounding, and then like when you have to compare decimal numbers, it just
Oh.
becomes really messy. So as a result of that, internally it uses milliseconds. We do plan to change this input field so it doesn't. You don't have to be a nerd that knows about milliseconds. We do plan to change it to minutes and seconds instead, so it's more easily understandable. But that's why it internally runs like that. We just basically we just wanted to get the release version now. We
Yeah,
didn't
because
bother
the
adding anything that's not necessary.
timestamps are also in milliseconds, so I just
Yeah,
figured
yeah.
that was
Mhm.
Yeah,
probably easiest to
exactly.
do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's easy to format it afterwards. Like if you already have this, you can format it to the correct number. But like we'd have to do a conversion here. We're kind of lazy.
Mm.
I got a couple questions here.
Mhm.
Just my couple questions. I don't know if Serve has any locked up, but so and I was asking it about it before, but before the podcast, the twist damage section, you know, basically based on like the weapons and stuff like that. I know you had like a sheet that showed basically the weapons on, you know, how likely they are to twist, how much damage they do on a twist, and all that type of stuff. And that's kind of something I would mainly use for PvP. But I'm sure there are people out there that maybe want to know how much damage like one individual twist can do with with one weapon.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty easy to do. Basically, I already like the thing that you've seen probably prompted maybe this question, the chart that I have with all of the weapons and how much damage they do. It's just a spreadsheet, which is really easy to make.
Mm-hmm.
It took me like 5 minutes to make that spreadsheet, so it could be easy to implement here. I don't know if it's like 100% necessary, but you know maybe it doesn't
Yeah,
hurt. To add.
yeah. It's just a question, you know. I was
Yeah.
curious, you know. And I know you were talking about a web version earlier, but I mean, not earlier. We originally wanted to be a web version, yes?
Yeah, people have actually asked this quite a few times. There is already a web version of the same. Like if you go on the main page,
Mm-hmm.
there's a little button here that says environments, GitHub pages. And what it will do is, if you click view developments, it will open the web version. However, it's been abandoned since October. It's not really functional. You can run
Ooh.
sims with it, but as you can tell, it already looks kind of scuffed.
Yeah.
Uh, it has a gems interface, which is probably it kind of feels bad right now that the fact that the desktop version doesn't. But yeah, because we couldn't get the performance to be where we wanted it to be, it was taking like for my computer, which is pretty good, it was taking like 40 seconds per 10,000 iterations. And
Oof.
that's unacceptable to me. We were like, okay, we're gonna shelf this for now, and we're gonna come back to it later. There's been a new version of the framework that we use. So maybe we can check if it runs better now. But for now, it's not really good enough. Like if I hit the button, it's gonna take quite a while for this to
Gotcha.
actually.
So at a later date, a perfected web version will be out.
Might. I
Might
can't
be.
promise that.
Might be.
Like we're pretty happy with this version for
Mm-hmm.
now. I mean, if we end up well it's been taking so long that my browser thought it was idling. If we could get it the performance to where we want it to be, then yeah. Otherwise, like I don't know if you want to rewrite the entire program in a different language just to have
Yeah.
a web version.
It certainly has a nice UI. I do like the UI. I think a couple people in my chat were saying that too, that the UI does look a little bit better on the web version. But I'm sure,
Um,
obviously, like that stuff is gonna probably come.
I think it's
yeah,
mostly the gems that makes it look a little bit nicer, honestly. And you know, it's
I
a
mean,
little bit
Yeah,
of little bit of
you,
color too.
the
not
color.
having to like hover the gems is nice. Like
Mm-hmm.
on the desktop version, you have to like hover the gems to see what they are.
Yeah, basically some stuff like that is kind of easier to do on the web, like colors and stuff like that. It's a bit easier to do. Whereas we used a pretty old framework for the desktop version called WPF, which is not as easy to do pretty graphics like that. But we definitely do plan to make some changes like that to make it look better. Like it's a color schemes. It's right here. It's like pretty
Gotcha.
big that
Yeah,
we don't want it to look scuffed forever. Yeah.
just a little bit of customization, you know,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
little bit of appearance change. I have I slightly have a meme question, but I gotta ask it because you know people have been asking and all that type of stuff. Spell power set or Ravager set in the sim? Is it
Oh
occurring?
my god.
Well,
Spell
we don't even have consecrate yet, so.
Oh no, dude.
Yeah, so spell power set is one of those things where like me and Solus were like, okay, there's a lot of items in TBC. Like I don't know, like if you select all the faces,
Oh my god, it would be insane.
yeah, there's like look at all these items here, and we were like,
Mhm.
okay, what if we just cut all the spell power stuff? So you can tell them probably not T-shirts are fan of that idea, but on the Ravager side, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, just a
I'm
little.
I'm def I'm definitely more of a Ravager show myself, so.
Oh hell yeah, same here, dude. Same here.
I think Ravager. I mean, we know we said this last episode, but I think most people are going to be in the scenario where they're going to have to single target a little bit, and so
Mhm.
Ravager is the easy play when you're already wearing melee gear and there's anything left alive when you're done.
Mhm.
Spell power, I think, is like going to be more damage, like and more consistent damage. But I think Ravager has those big peaks. If you get like a good consecrate down and then you Ravager proc on top of it, like probably get a pretty big peak. But
I think to a
obviously
big
it has
degree.
to proc too, right? I mean,
Mhm.
so that
Yeah,
doesn't
but I
always
think to a
happen.
big degree, it's also just a lot more accessible as well. It's like you don't really need a full set to get it to work. Just
Yeah.
get Ravager, maybe some armor penetration in there, and you're good. But
Well, a
Ooh.
lot of paladins already farm strat, and I mean it's not exactly a spell power set, but it has a good amount of spell power, so you use like a strat set for it.
So on the topic of armor penetration, how do you feel about it? Or armor ignore? I apologize. Armor ignore.
I've been looking at the numbers. People keep saying, Torch of the Damned. I'm like, nah. You know where it's at. It's my boy Cataclysm Ledge where it's at. It's right here. You know what? Armor ignore. That's what you want. In all seriousness, though, it actually ends up being a lot better than people expected it to be, or a little better than people realize it actually is, just because of how well it scales. One of the things that I actually manually took the time to add in the sim, even though it's completely 100% unnecessary, is this little tooltip here that
Mhm.
tells you how much of a damage increase you get from armor penetration, because it ends up like becoming a pretty big amount just by having the free armor penetration we have on our gear, especially in like phases 4 and 5.
Yeah, you
Gotcha.
get like 560 or something in phase
Yeah,
5.
Mhm.
you get a decent amount just by like the random gear that you have that's already based. So.
Yeah, and the cap's like 1708 for like a low armor, so you still have it like 1200 armor left on the boss, but that's pretty good. That's something.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not gonna say that it's gonna change the universe or anything like that. It's
mhm.
not gonna be like a groundbreaking change, but I think it's better than completely awful that people thought it would be because of how far damage is holding and whatever.
So you're saying you're gonna use Cataclysm's Edge over Torch of the Damned?
Uh, I'm not legally allowed to do that. My girlfriend would divorce me if I did that. But she plays armed warrior in our guild, so
Oh god.
I can't do
That's
that. But
funny.
if a second one drops, maybe I'll think about what if I stack this number really high?
It looks really nice, man. It's a great looking weapon for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's the upsetting portion about it.
I wanted to ask you about CS delay, obviously. So I know that you said that it's just the UI element, and I think you said it's already like kind of implemented. Like obviously the sim, has its logic and it plays around that logic, but so in terms of that, like obviously like your CS isn't always going to be 6 seconds, right? It's because like it depends. Like do you have the GCD and all this other stuff? But like I know you said you've done some testing into whether it makes a big difference or not, and like 1% of haste increasing your CS DPS by like 1% is like the math I came up to. And you said it wasn't really, it's kind of negligible. Can you maybe expand on that a little bit with the testing you did on that, and maybe talk about, the plans for like a UI element for CS delay?
Yeah. So when I first started working on the spreadsheet, not the same for TBC, and I was starting to implement twisting. First of all, I delayed the spreadsheet a lot. I was getting spam for like 3 months because I was making sure that the twisting was correct, and people were like, "Yo, why is the spreadsheet not out?" Turns out twisting is pretty complicated to implement in the spreadsheet. Um, the thing that I found was that there will never be a time, obviously, that you perfectly do CS every 6 seconds. As you said, there's always going to be necessarily a delay. And in
Yeah.
practice, what that means is that twisting will not ever be like a perfect like 50 DPS increase with no drawbacks. It's gonna be a drawback in that you delay your CS, you delay your judgment, you delay some stuff, right? So the way that works will be the more you delay Crusader Strike, the less of a DPS gain twisting will be, and the other way around, obviously. And there's a few ways you can go about trying to calculate that, but I always felt that the easiest way, and honestly, as far as the sim itself is concerned, with the logic that it tries to do the rotation with, is through like a manual threshold for CS delay. Because basically, what you can do is you can check, okay, if I delay my CS by 3 seconds, I lose DPS even if I do like a twist every swing as a result of that, right? So what we did was in the code we set a variable that's like the value of how much you want to delay your Crusader Strike by. That's right now by default set to 0. So the sim will never ever delay Crusader Strike at all. It will basically be like, okay, this twist, this next swing that's coming up, my CS will be ready, so I'm not going to twist at all. But we did check some other settings to see, okay, what if I delay my CS by, I don't know, 1200 milliseconds, so 1.2 seconds? And turns out, you can get some extra DPS out by twisting on that swing, even if it means you delay your CS a bit, as you mentioned before. However, that
Yeah.
DPS gain will be very small. It was like in our numbers, it was like 8, 6, 10 DPS. We could never get it more than 10, I believe, even no matter what number we did. But it is there. It is like a real number, which means that sometimes haste will allow you to delay CS more or less, and as a result of that, haste will be better in some specific numbers based on your weapon speed. So that's one thing that's definitely coming with the next version that we've been thinking about quite a while, which will probably go a bit more in depth than we should. In that the idea that we had is that the sim itself can actually calculate what's the optimal CS delay for you, because that's what a sim can do. Sim can do that. Like you just keep checking. Okay, 2000 milliseconds DPS loss, 1900 milliseconds DPS gain, and so on, until you find like the actual optimal amount, and then the sim will tell you, okay, this is how much you can delay it by, and then you have an optimal rotation, I guess you would say.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
But
I think when I talked to you about this, I think you said the delta lies somewhere around 2 seconds, right? Or it should.
I think it was like at 1.2 it becomes it becomes peaking, and then it's like there's some sort of variance between 1.2 to 1.6, and then after 1.6 it just starts tanking, and then 2.2 it's just a DPS loss at that point.
So it's
Oh wow.
currently set to 0.
Yes, if you
Okay.
if you wanted to, like anyone that actually wants to check it right now, you could go on the code rather than the desktop version that we downloaded. If you still have access to the Visual Studio version, everyone can use it, and you can input a manual number yourself to test it yourself. I know maybe Serve wants to, because you've
Yeah,
been asking
I
quite a
definitely
lot about
do.
that.
I want to put 1200 in there and just let her rip. Because I mean that's pretty. That's closer to how I play. Obviously, like I'm quite often delaying my Crusader Strike by like a second or two to get a twist off. I mean, everybody does when they do like a
Hmm.
2-3 rotation or something. So,
Yeah.
um, to make that a little bit closer to like how I actually play, I would definitely want to do that. So that's awesome.
In the past, I did some pretty complicated math to try to get the answer to that, because it is a pretty interesting question, but the math gets really complicated really fast, and it's always like,
Yeah.
okay, like it's too much, but the sim can do it pretty easily. So we thought, why not?
Like so going from like 3.6 to 3.0, and I just did this with like stat weight, so you have to calculate the whole breakpoint and average it, otherwise it's inaccurate. And like what I did was I took the DPS gain from CS, or I'm sorry, I took if you go from 3.6 to 3.0, right, you have like this delay on CS, and you gain a certain amount based on not delaying it anymore, and you take that percentage. It goes up like, I don't know, 1.02% per 1% of haste, but obviously like that's average over the whole breakpoint. And now an item like DST is exactly the breakpoint. Like if you're at 3.6 speed and a DST procs, you're like just barely over 3.0. Like you're basically exactly at that breakpoint. So like DST was a good one to look at to be like, well, this will actually line up with those numbers quite well, because it's like exactly that breakpoint if you have a 3.6 weapon. And it was like 1% CS damage per 1% haste, which isn't crazy. Like, and obviously it changes too. It's like it's less valuable higher, closer to 3.6, and then it would get more valuable closer to 3.0, because the effect that it has on your like Crusader strikes per minute changes as you get closer to 3.0. But that was just like some very basic napkin math basically that I did a long time ago to try to calculate it and try to figure out like how much does haste actually affect this. And obviously it changes too, right? Because
It changes a
there's
lot, because mostly because of the thing that ironically we're talking about with the PvP stuff, where because Crusader Strike is normalized, it will always end up doing more damage with, well, faster weapons, but if they have higher DPS, so like with Apollyon, basically you don't want to delay your CS as much because it does
Yeah.
more damage relative to your auto attacks. Whereas like Torch of the Damned, your auto attacks will do like significantly more damage relative than Crusader Strike relative to like Apollyon, for example. So it changes a lot based on that. And the main thing that I was actually interested in is to see if there's actually just a flat out linear relationship between the like the delay, because like if it's not exactly easy to tell, then it's like it's also not really possible from a player standpoint to see, okay, if the optimal CS delay is, like 672 milliseconds, but at 673 it's a DPS loss. It's like, what do you do with that information? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's also like there's points where haste will increase your CS delay because it'll push you into a different rotation where you twist. Like if it pushes you from like 1-2 into 2-3, then you don't gain a CS delay anymore. You gain twist ratio, right? So
Right,
it,
right.
it it also changes in that regard.
But at that point, the sim will be able to tell you that, okay, there's a DPS loss, don't do it. And that's one of the things that I wanted to have the DPS out for, because a lot of people do go very heavily off their like their intuition with this kind of stuff. And I do it as well. Everybody does it, but it's like a lot of people think, yeah, okay, I mean, you can't delay CS. Can you? Can you really? Like,
Yeah,
what does
yeah,
this? What does the sim say? Is the answer to that to me now?
I mean, that little section would be pretty cool to have, honestly. Just a little CS delay section. I'm sure Serv would spend a ton of time in that for sure.
for sure. It would be sick.
Yeah.
That is really interesting though. That I never thought about that. That the slower weapon you have, the more you can delay CS to gain DPS, and then vice versa. Like the faster weapon you have, the less you can delay CS to gain
Yeah,
DPS.
there's a lot of small intricacies like that with the way WoW works. It's not intuitive, and that's why people keep asking for like a very basic, simple question like, is it good to delay CS? Yes, no. It's like I can't really tell you that. The sim would have to tell you that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why
Maybe.
like in the FAQ and stuff, I just put like you can delay CS up to 1 to 2 seconds to gain DPS for a twist, like stuff like that, where it's like it's not being super concrete about it for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
because it depends.
And I think at 2 it was a DPS loss for most of the setups that we tested out.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you about some loot prio discussions because obviously the sim, looking
Mm-hmm.
at all this different loot and how good it is for us, and talking to other classes about phase 3 loot, and a lot of other people have released like phase 3 best loot prio videos where they go over all the classes and who should get what first. And I haven't found one that I agree with yet, to be quite frank. I think Zatar's was pretty good. I don't know if any of you guys seen these videos, but they're pretty popular. People be
Wait, which
talking
one?
about them. Zatar came out with a video where he goes
Oh, the
over like,
rogue guy, right?
yeah, he does like every item and he goes through like who should get priority on it. I think it's pretty good for like a casual guild. I think like most guilds could go with it, and it
Mm-hmm.
would be great.
I don't think it
Because
was speedrun based. Yeah, agreed.
it's not like pure DPS game based or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like well, like for example, he has like the spell haste healing rings going to Resto Druid first, because if they get enough spell haste, they can get like an extra life bloom in their rotation, right? Which is good. It's very good. But like, would you prior that over like a shaman or a priest who is going to get more healing output from that ring, until the Resto Druid hits that breakpoint, and maybe even then. So it's like, it's that kind of stuff. And then there's also Sarth's video, which pretty much just said give the hunters everything. So
Yeah.
uh,
I
I
It's the one
watched
with the
that one
spreadsheet.
live.
Was it the one with the spreadsheet that's like give warriors Warglaive because warrior is the best DPS class or whatever?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So on
that's
that topic, a couple of people. This has been like a really big debate topic, and honestly, it's just so exhausting because there is a sheet that came out. There's like a Discord with like class representatives and like theory crafters from those classes, and basically they try to compile like the comparison of certain items between every class. Like they did a sheet where, and I try to be a good paladin representative in that Discord, and we did Cursed Vision, Madness, Stormrage, Signet Ring, stuff like that. And then we came out with this sheet, and it spread like wildfire. Everybody's like reading the sheet, saying
yeah, yeah.
this is how you should give out Cursed Vision based on this sheet. But it wasn't done yet. It kind of leaked, and it wasn't finished yet. So he put a disclaimer at the top saying this isn't finished yet. Some of the sims like didn't have identical settings. some of the sims don't actually have the functionality to do identical settings, like with exposed weakness uptime, right? Half of the sims just can't do anything less than 100% with that, or change the agility. So it's like, that it's just like it wasn't perfectly accurate, and we wanted to make it better, and we were also waiting on madness data to come in because that'll skew everything if madness is a lot better or worse, right?
I'm very sure we have the data on it already. I think it was in the early data mine that happened during the beta. I think it was in already. Like
What
what data in specific are you talking about? Like the PPM stuff like that?
Yeah, the ppm for madness, I mean, they're
Mhm.
still trying to figure it out, but I think they're going with 1.
Yeah, I'm like 99% sure it was one. There was like a whole elitist jerks thread about it, where it's like,
Yeah,
and it ended up like being true by the beta leak at the start because
they were just
Blizzard didn't
like
protect it.
pouring through phase 3 like PTR log data to try to say like, okay, it is 1. Like, I know there's all this data that said it should be 1, but they were just like really trying to nail it down to say it is 1, because like if madness is really good, then that's going to make, for like Fury for example, they have, I think their tier helmet has armor pen on it,
Mhm.
and like if
Yeah.
they if madness is better, then it's going to make that helm better in regard, like versus curse of vision. So like they were waiting for that data before they finished it. They were trying to eliminate any like variance and all the parameters being used across all these sims, because like, you look at some of these numbers and it has like enhanced doing like some crazy damage,
Yeah, like
more
40 or
more
something.
like more than a fury warrior single target and stuff like this, like because every sim is different, and it's like some of them are more accurate to like real life in-game DPS than others. Some of them are more accurate to that regard. Like the rogue one is actually really really good because it's insanely accurate to the in-game DPS that you're actually going to get. So there's all these different like factors that made it inaccurate, and we're trying to like eliminate them. But before we still haven't released like the next version of it, but it already spread like crazy, and all these like streamers are like
Yeah,
showing it off on stream. I know Sarth did a live stream where he showed it off, and so there was this whole situation that a lot of people got upset with Sarth because he had this loot prio stream, that he turned into a YouTube video where he talks about basically giving hunters everything that they want
yeah, yeah.
because they really need the hit from Curse of Vision. And like, I understand that argument, but like also it doesn't matter if it's got hit that you need on it or anything. It's like the DPS gain that you get from it is what it is. Like, why do you get hit? You get it to gain DPS. Like, if you might need that hit, but it's still only like a 13 DPS or whatever. So at the end of the day,
Yeah.
anyway, so a lot of people got upset with Sarth because he took our sheet, and he removed the disclaimer from the top, and he edited the hunter DPS number. He changed it from 13 to 19. And so all of a sudden there was this Sarth sheet going around that said hunters are now top 3 for curse vision. They're right there with Fury on
Yeah.
single target, and the only person better is enhanced basically. And you could use this sheet now to say like, oh well, hunters and Fury are like right behind enhance, and he also took out that disclaimer at the top that said this is not accurate yet, and he put his name there. He put Sarth there. So like, like these loot prio videos, I have a lot of trouble trusting. I've thought about making one myself, but I get like, I feel like I wouldn't do it justice without like a ton more research, because like it's hard for any one person to know all this information about all these classes,
Mhm.
right? So I want to ask you guys questions about like certain items, what we think, who do we think is best for these items. um Maybe talk about Zatar's loot prio video, which was really good and really well researched,
Yeah.
and say like, do we agree with him on this. I haven't found one I really agree with yet, but I don't think I ever would, because like everybody's got such different ideas about it. It's so much to go through and so much to go over that like it's going to differ in some ways for everybody. But overall, I think his was pretty good, and I think Sar's was like pretty bad. I think it was like hunter copium to the max. Like he's got that hunter bias, and Zatar really doesn't have that rogue bias.
Plus, you
So
want to go ahead, or
Yeah. So how I feel about hunters. I love survival hunters. That's what I have to say about hunters. That's kind of just how I feel about it. Survival hunters don't need curse vision. That's
I agree. I have noticed that as well.
that's basically what I'm implying. You know, a BM hunter, it can go off and stuff like that. Personally, I do think that, you know, the top performing BM hunter should most likely get the first curse vision. I mean, you know, if your BM hunter is a pumper, I would probably let, you know, go with that. But going through like a speed run scenario and stuff like that, I think you got to give it to the Fury. I think you got to give it to the Enhance. I just think it's just better on them for that scenario. I would love a Cursed Vision personally, but I don't see myself getting one before maybe the 5th or 6th, honestly. I know I'm no GM like Pride is, but
Oh no,
yeah,
you don't want to go there.
I don't think that I will be able to I don't think I'll be able to get a Cursed Vision within the first 5 of them for sure. That's just me personally.
I don't want to go there. My guild's racist towards Red Paladins. They always give me stuff last. It's the worst loot
Really?
council in the entire world. Yeah,
You're not
I don't
even
know what to
you're
say.
not even in the loot council?
No, I am in the gold, but I only have one vote. Like,
Oh man.
That's
it's
funny.
Still having trouble picking up the Cursed Vision though, yeah?
I mean, we're more on the casual side, so I don't think we're gonna super sweat about it. I think probably gonna pick up one of the first ones because you know, like I am one of the bigger pumpers on the physical side, but
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I think yeah, this conversation is part of the reason why I've been like very very careful with a lot of this stuff. Like that's why like people are pushing me for like DST numbers before the spreadsheet was ready. It was like just chill. It's like it's there's so much misinformation going on, and I feel there's a really bad incentive for this type of stuff. Where you know like the source I've talked about. I mean, he has a very clear incentive. There's a whole bunch of people are playing Hunter and Warrior, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he puts out a video that's like, yo guys, actually fucking CVOS is like the best item in the game for us, we should have it first. It's gonna get a whole bunch of clicks, a whole bunch of views, right? So suddenly it spreads like wildfire because yeah, there's a lot of hunters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's I don't know. I try to think of it this way. It's like the performance first type of thing. I think it holds a lot of merit with like the DSC thing that we had going on at the start, where like maybe it's 32 DPS for us, maybe it's 37 for Fury. But in the end of the day, who doesn't really matter. But I think as soon as you get into like the super scummy stuff that Serv mentioned earlier, with like you know like pushing the spreadsheets that have like a disclaimers, I'll just do say yo, it's actually like better than rest for us now. Even though like when I did get access to that spreadsheet, it was clearly showing that hunters were like lower than reds
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
Yep.
CVOS thing. So it was like,
No, yeah, they
okay,
were until Sarth changed it, but you
Yeah,
whatever.
we definitely we get a nice DPS jump from it
And
for
and
sure.
and also that comparison is being very charitable to other classes because for Ret, that assumes that we have Choker of Endless Nightmares in our
Mm-hmm.
next slot, which
Yeah.
probably nobody's gonna have. So I
Um
mean, that's like our best case scenario, and it's not even likely. Like if you looked at Curse Vision on a Ret versus like just having to get your hit from the Helm enchant, it's like 27 DPS, which is obviously quite a
mhm.
bit more and puts us right below Enhance as like number 2. And obviously, like the only other way you're gonna be able to make up your hit is like the drape, which is very highly contested,
yeah,
and then you have the boots, which the boots are actually pretty realistic, but the boots aren't that great because they are a bit of a downgrade from Shadow
they're a
Masters.
massive downgrade. It's not just a bit of a
Yeah,
downgrade. It's
Mhm.
just it's like the fourth best hit item that face. You might as well just like just admit that you're never gonna do DPS. You just get cocked too bad if you go for the boost. I think at the end of the day, because I
yeah,
think that's one of the contention that I have like with you guys as well. But like you know like a lot of the bigger Discord general, because when you look at you might have noticed that my bis list actually tend to be more on the kind of realistic side rather than you know this is like a
Mhm.
100% mathematical bis. This is like
yeah.
I could have listed, for example, Choker as over the Pendant of the Perilous because it's like what like
Same. It's like
point
2
6 CPS
DPS.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's like that's just not sensible. You know what I mean? I think there has to be some sensibility going on. Like for example, the stuff that I think Serv mentioned earlier with Madness for Warriors with their helm, or was it place? I don't remember which one of you mentioned it, but it's
It
like
was serve, yeah.
when you have such a strong option on your hands where you can't take you know this less contested item and go with madness that pretty much nobody else is going to want, why would you not do that? Why would you go for the cursed vision route just then you know completely cuck everybody else out of it? You know what I mean? Everybody who can't use something
yeah.
else like that.
I think Fury should go for their tier 6 helm too. I mean, their tier 6 helm's great, and it's gonna scale well with all their other ARPN. So it's like I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, that's the same with us and like Forest Prowlers, right? Is like, but obviously we take more of a hit to go down to Forest Prowlers than they would. But I think it's sort of a similar situation where we have a decent second best option. Um, so I'm not like
It, it's
begging
decent.
for top prio on CVOS because I have a
I feel like
decent
it's
second best.
decent, but at the same time, you have to make a pretty big move into the territory that of other classes, basically, in order to make out for the lossy. Because like the neck and the cloak, I would never touch it. Right? It just feels so bad. It's like
Yeah,
I
that's
would
the issue.
you're realistically not going for the forest prowler shim. I think you're realistically going for the Illidari Shatter or Solm or whatever.
And just
Realistically.
sit over the hit cap. Ouch.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a bad situation for us all in all. Whereas if like somebody else has a better option, like I remember distinctly the note that Warriors had was that like the gloves plus forset is strictly speaking better for them in some situations, but because like their tier is contested, they choose Curse Vision instead. I'm like, what?
What?
Say what? Yeah, that just made no sense to me. I don't know. Just Warrior fucking
I
propaganda
thought it
stuff.
was I thought CV was just best. First
I
vision
thought so
rather.
too.
Uh,
Yeah.
But it's like I don't know. It's the people that I talk to in that Discord where we go over the sheet. Like CV is best according to them. It's like 19 on single target or something. But the four piece is obviously like very very good. Or the helm is obviously like very very good
Mhm.
and very pretty close. So it's like I mean I think that the obvious choice is enhance first. Like that is so obvious
yeah,
because
I agree.
it is huge for them, and everything else that they have an option for sucks. Just
Exactly.
sucks.
I think that's the best type of logic. Like, if you just don't have a good enough option, just give it to them. You know what I mean? It's
I
like,
think like if you're speed running, you do enhance first, right? And if you're speed running, you could also make an argument for Fury there because of all the cleave, right? But after that, it really doesn't matter. Like you can give it to whoever you think deserves it most because the difference between the classes after enhance and maybe Fury if you're speed running is like so small. Like the difference between, a ret gaining 17 or a hunter gaining 13 or whatever is like so tiny. It's like it
yeah,
doesn't even really matter. Although that obviously is like best case scenario for the red. It's more like 20 to 27 depending on what you can make up your hit with. But that's and it's also it speaks to this issue of you make this sheet, you try to make something accurate that compares classes, and people just like skew it to their favor and they spread it like crazy, and it becomes
yeah,
this extremely deceptive thing that does the opposite of what you originally intended. Like you set out to make a sheet that gives an accurate portrayal of what Curse of Vision does across the classes, and it ends up becoming something way different and being used to as a piece of propaganda for certain classes who it validates their opinions or it validates their feeling on that they should get an item first. And it's like super messed up, honestly. It's like, people are trying to help out the situation by making it a little bit easier for people to decide and it just gets like taken way out of proportion
yeah.
and
But that's the fundamental the conflict I talked about before. It's like you have people that are trying to help, and you have people that are just trying to capitalize on like easy clicks. It's so easy to get like a bunch of people flocking on your video saying, "Look, yo, look, like DSD 50 DPS increase for us. Like fuck the reds, fuck the rogues, and stuff like that." So, and to that I say, fuck the warriors. You know,
so
give them
I,
nothing.
I
Ooh.
I also think that this might be a hot take for anyone who isn't a ret paladin, but if you're not going to give your ret paladin choker or Shadow Moon Destroyer's Drape, you got to give him Curse of Vision second,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
or maybe third. I mean, maybe Fury and then ret. But that's my like because if you don't give us choker or Shadow Moon Destroyer's Drape, we're taking the biggest hit outside of enhance, just
Yep.
bar none. So you got to give it to ret second or third. Like if you're not going to give them one of these other BIS items that is not actually BIS for them unless you like consider choker BIS or whatever, but still
Yeah.
like you're taking that out of somebody else's hands. And I know that like a lot of these classes use the RPen neck, but like for a lot of them choker is slightly better and they're pretty comparable, but
Mhm.
the RPen neck's like really contested as well. But like I know for Fury, choker's technically a little bit better than the RPen neck. So it's like, you're taking it out of somebody else's hands to make up for the fact that you're not going to get CVOS. So it's like it's a questionable loot council decision, or if you have loot council, then it's a questionable decision to not give the right CVOS, but then give them an item that's not vis for them to make up for that fact. It's like it doesn't really make sense.
So someone
Yeah.
asks, what about in the eyes of 6% hit? And to that, I'm honestly going to reply, you need to get a Boomkin or a Dream State Druid. Like, just
True.
straight up.
I think
Like,
if you're ever gonna drop the boomkin, now's the time to do it though, right?
yeah, but I mean, I still think you need a Dream State Druid. For sure.
and it's like so easy to get 6% without
Yeah.
dropping like any damage. You
Like,
can drop like 3 damage per
Mhm.
second.
You definitely need it. So, we talked a little bit about the Cursed Vision Prio, and we talked about it last time with Star Force, but I want to see what Pride has to say. But I kind of got a feeling he might be on your side, Serv. Are Warglaives Fury or Rogue Prio?
I think you're crazy not to give him to a rogue. I think there's just no world where I give him to a Fury over a rogue, to be honest. We don't have a Fury, so I don't have to make the choice. My girlfriend's arms, she's probably gonna get second pair, but I don't know. Like I think Furies are just too spoiled. I think you have to give something to the good old rogue, keeping up the exposed armor up. He has to get something. And they look
Yeah,
sick
and
as fuck on the rogues. But nah, seriously, I think the biggest argument is just the fact that if your rogue does any amount of PvP, like there's no amount of
Oh,
DPS that's comparable to that. So it's
yeah.
like, especially if your warrior is like just some sort of like a raid logging guy, it's just yeah, okay, maybe it's gonna be sick ass fucking DPS boost for him, but your rogue does any amount of PvP, yeah, that's massive.
Well, you said you got to
for
give something
sure.
to the Rogue. I mean, I was thinking you were giving him a raid spot. I mean, I think that's,
Hey, dude,
Okay.
rogues are gonna pump, dude. They do a lot of damage.
Single target. Yeah, I don't know about that overall though, but
Dude, they do pretty good cleave
they
too.
they'll
I
do
mean,
better. They'll do better cleave though. They'll definitely be able to beat us a lot more now.
they're
Yeah.
gonna
For
fly
sure.
past us in phase 3. That's for sure.
hmm
Yeah.
But I don't think we're gonna have rogues and speedruns, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a whole different thing. I mean,
Yeah.
rather just have a fury, obviously, but you
For
can't
sure.
get exposed armor up on trash. So
That's a pretty important qualifier. I mean, like we don't do speedruns, so it's like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
if you do speedruns, yeah, then obviously there's massive merit to giving them to your Fury, but
Mhm.
I feel like for most people, it's like the rogues have been underperforming so much for so long now. They've just been like the exposed armor bitch. I feel like throwing him a bone every now and then is good. Same with survival. I feel like okay, some items are kind of questionable. Should you get in survival or like somebody who does more damage? But it's like, you know what, you got a guy that's just
well, like our rogue pretty much foregoed most of his prio on phase 1 and phase 2 items, knowing that phase 3 comes, he's gonna get a lot of, he's gonna get glaives, he's gonna get a lot of really sick gear over other classes because he gets so strong in phase 3. So like, he still doesn't have a DST yet. He didn't stuff like that. I mean, like
Yeah.
he's taken that hit because he knows that he's not as good in phase 1 and phase 2, but that he's better in phase 3. So, and also because like rogues have a lot of good trinket options, obviously. Like they have warp spring coil, they have the clash trinket in BT, and all kinds of trinket options. So like he has been, he knows he's getting glaives, and he knows he's gonna get a ton of sick loot and get this crazy glow up and do a lot more damage in phase 3. So like, he's kind of cool with not being first on prio for like phase 1 and phase 2 hot items. And I think that's kind of the same situation you have with Ret with like phase 2. Like you got to give your Ret the expertise gear in phase 2 because
Mhm.
we don't need anything in phase 3. We need curse vision, and then everything else is pretty much free. Like
Yeah.
besides
yeah.
boots and legs a little bit, but yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I sent you this sheet too. Somebody sent me this in my chat. It's like a Hyjal loot prio sheet. If you want to take a look at it real quick. Like
Gotcha. Yeah,
this is an
yeah.
example. This is an example of some of the sheets that are floating around.
Where'd
And
you send it?
Oh, you sent
I
it to
said
me. I got it. I got it here.
I'll
This
send
is
it to you
Okay.
too. I'll send it to you too.
Okay. All right.
but
So
I just
this is
also
like,
just wanted to say, we're getting close to the end. So if anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat now. We will get to them shortly, for sure.
Yeah, I did say this spreadsheet. I thought it was just horrible. This is just I don't know. Like this is
yeah,
just
right.
This is
thought
Warrior
this
Hunter
spreadsheet
propaganda.
was
This is nothing else.
you saying
Yeah, like
this
this
was
one.
horrible in terms of that?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I got somebody said this to me in my chat saying this one was also floating around. This is some of the example of like people that don't have the knowledge of every class. They're not trying to do an accurate portrayal of items. They're just like they're basically just fueling their own biases and trying to trying to, you know, validate their opinion to other people and say like look at Archimond, right? Like obviously like Ret is like not top priority on any of this stuff. But on Archimon, he gives us prio on leggings of endless rage, which we don't even want.
Yeah, it's,
They're so bad.
But
yeah,
like a fury could actually use those if they don't have divine retribution
Mhm.
or an arms,
yeah.
right, for the hit, because they can
I think
actually
they
use the hit.
realized. I think they realized they were a bit like tipping the scale a bit too much on the warrior skill, so they just gave us all the garbage. I think if you look at all the items that it has like red as like number 1 or number 2 in the priority, it's all like complete garbage that we will never use. It's
Yeah,
like a kind of a pattern.
or like look at bow stitch leggings. We're last.
Yeah, I
They
saw
they
that.
they put
It's kind of
enhance over survival when survival's a raid DPS increase, and like literally everyone benefits from survival getting those legs.
yeah. I personally am a survival first on the legs.
Yeah, for
Chill.
sure. I think survival, and then after that, it's like enhance and red are pretty much equal.
Yeah.
That's what Obviously,
Yeah.
like if you're still using Shatrith leggings, like your loot council probably looks at that and be like, okay, this guy's still got blue quest leggings on. Probably get a good shot at that, but
I'm actually gonna go for the tier 6 legs for my set, but
oh yeah, it's
yep.
there. I mean, it's not too much worse than bow stitch. Like if you use the 2-piece, it's not too much worse. It's like 17 to 25 DPS worse than
The mo
midnight and bow stitched. I think I saw.
the reason I was doing that is legitimately just for speedrunning. I mean, like I feel like that's just way better.
Are you guys actually getting into the speedrunning thing now?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
We're gonna be
definitely for
doing splits and
speedrunning, you're
stuff like
gonna
that.
want that
Yeah. So I
for
mean,
sure.
chest and legs, I think, is something that I'm gonna be going after for sure.
Yeah, same.
Um,
Especially since the chest is like just about equal. It's like, why not? I mean, like, okay, maybe you want to take it after your warlocks that don't have the vestments, but
yeah, like
it's just
Or like,
this
look
Shadow
at
Moon
this.
Destroyer's cape right here. I mean, we don't even really need it, you know? Like, why are we so high up on here? I mean, we could use it, but why? It just
Like,
seems.
look at this. Look at this. Priority for Chronicle of Dark Secrets. You got Boomkin, Ellie, Destro, Arcane. Oh, they're equal. I see. Okay, everybody's okay. That makes more sense. Never mind. I was gonna say
Overshadow.
putting Boomy first, and then Ellie. Okay, never mind. That makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah. I mean, dude,
Well, Shadow can't use Tempest
you
of Chaos,
shouldn't.
right?
You
So they
shouldn't
should
be
be last.
giving that to a Boomkin first, man. You
Shadow
really shouldn't.
Shadow can only use. Well, yeah, but they're equal signs. That's why
Yeah,
they
I
should
know,
last.
I know.
But
This
no,
is
Shadow
interesting.
can't use Tempest of Chaos, so that makes sense. They can only use the dagger from Nagentis, which is like basically a Fang of the Leviathan, if I remember correctly. But no, I mean, I just wanted to bring this up because this is literally like, people make these kind of sheets and spread them around, and like they're always so off
yeah,
in so many
yeah.
ways, and like I don't understand. It's honestly like at this point, if you're like a raider or you're like a loot council member, you should not take any of these
But
for
many
like
will.
as
That's
your
the thing.
information. Like you should never trust any of these. You should just talk to your guild, your people in your guild, ask them how good things are for them, see how well they know their class, maybe download the sim yourself and like, run stuff like that. But like you cannot trust any of these content creator videos because like they're always so off.
Yeah.
So we had a question about why the tier legs for speedrunning, and that's literally just for the phase 2 bonus. Just a little bit more mana regen. Yeah, the 2 set during trash.
So a little bit. People keep saying that it's not a little bit at all. It's like it's gonna be your number 1 or your number 2 source of mana regen while you're using it.
Dude,
It's actually.
I'm very excited to see how it's gonna actually play out.
It's gonna be a lot. I mean, it
like,
was
with
50
the twisting.
MP5.
Yeah.
It was 50 MP5 without the twisting, based on some Wowhead data. So
First of all, you're super gonna miss it on the what's the name? Is it Asgal or is it the one after that? The guy that drains your mana and then kills you.
Kazragal. I mean, Mother
Kazraga, that's the one.
is especially Mother because she burns your mana too, and you have like Shadow Resist Gear on, so you have like less mana.
Yeah.
Especially on those two, it's gonna be massive. And then I think for everything else, it's just so good to have, especially for trash as well, obviously.
Yeah, and it's kind of easy to get to.
So someone asked that you guys mentioned, you needed the helm, neck, cloak to fix for the hit. Why not use the plate boots? Why not use the plate boot kit?
Well, they are just such a downgrade over Shadow Masters. You can, but they're like your fourth best option for getting that hit. I mean, they're like down there with using Swift Steel Shoulders. Like that's how bad they are over Stranger. So it's like it's not just about Dread Boots being a good upgrade over War Boots of Obliteration or whatever, and being a solid, easy choice for us to get. It's also like you're comparing it to Shadow Masters, which is our best, which is just a lot better, so much better.
I feel like if your guild's like, okay, you're not getting CVOS, you're not getting neck, you're not getting cloak, you're not getting the ring. Like at that point, you might as well just, okay, what am I doing this phase? Like, okay, see ya guys.
Yeah,
Like, see you guys
and
in phase 4 or something.
like if you're basically if you are told you're gonna get drip boots, then basically your guild's telling you you're not getting Curse of Vision or Shadow Master's boots. So like at
Yeah.
that point, you're just totally cucked. I
Mhm.
mean,
What are you even getting at that point?
and I know Choker is like BIS for a lot of classes, but Choker isn't, it's not as contested as I originally thought because a lot of these classes like hunters do use the RPen neck, and like in other classes that like enhance or fury, like the RPen neck is close to Choker for them, so it might be a little easier to get Choker than I
Mhm.
originally thought. But at the same time, this is like planning around taking a BIS item that's not BIS for you because you're not getting CVOS when you can make a really good case for CVOS for Ret by saying, look, I mean, my only other option is Choker, basically, or Drape, and without that, I'm almost in as bad of a position as Enhance is,
Mhm.
with like a 27 DPS loss by not having Curse of Vision. If I have to get my hit from my Helm enchant, it's a huge difference. It's not like a this is comparable to other classes thing. It's like it's a way bigger impact for us outside of like Enhance.
Yeah, it's a really simple case of like, there's no good options for us besides those 2 items really, and you don't want to take them either. So like,
Mhm.
what do you do? I think if you're not getting any of those, I feel like you're being like cornered into like a position where like your DPS is just gonna fall off constantly because now you have
Yeah.
nothing. Now your damage looks bad, so now everyone's like, okay, why would we give this guy items? He's doing no damage. Yeah, no shit, man. Like you haven't given me anything. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I got the
Uh,
torch this phase. That's nice.
we've been asked Ravager Theorycraft, but we already did that. We already did Ravager Theorycraft. Did a little bit of that.
We did do that, yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it'd be fun to have it on the sim for sure. It would be a fun
It is.
thing to have on the sim. Just the
It's it is
little
already in the
area.
sim. It's just only in the visual
I,
studio
wa- I
group.
want to
You
ask
have to pull.
Only visual.
I want to ask you
Yeah.
about Stormrage Signet because I looked at it, and if you do, let's say you can't get duplicitous guys or something. Well, if you have enough Stormrage Signets, you could do. I guess this is actually not even realistic because you have to get Coif of Illyria, which is like insanely hard to get. But I ran the sim a couple times. I was looking at Phase 5 gear, and for 3% hit, of course, you can use Stormrage Signet ring over the Twins ring, which is like an easier ring to get, and you
Yeah.
don't have to use guys anymore as your headpiece for hit.
I
You can
mean,
use Coif of Illyria, and it's pretty close.
yeah,
And
it
you
is
have
very close.
and you have like almost the same RPen too. So
The main logic was that you're gonna keep doing Illidan for the rest of the time anyway because you want the Warglaives, presumably.
yeah, so it wouldn't be that
So
hard to get the ring, right?
you're almost definitely getting the ring. It's almost definitely going to be as part of the 6% hit for phase 5. It's 100% in, and then for the 3% set, it will 100% depend on which item your guild will allow you to get, first of all, and B, what order you're getting. I mean, like duplicity disguise is really good, but it's like what, like 7 people in your guild want it, so it's gonna be kind of rough. I think you definitely want the ring if you can grab it
Well,
for free.
I think guides is only us and rogues, right? I thought
I think Feral doesn't change it out of the helmet, does it? Do they?
I thought they still used Wolf's Head, but I know on private servers there were some ferals that Cursed Vision was like the point at which they replaced Wolf's Head. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
I don't know
mean,
about that
I
whole
don't
thing with
think I
feral,
don't think
but
you use Wolf's Head over Duplicitous, for sure. I mean,
so okay, but at the
it's
same, I mean, that's for feral DPS, right?
yeah,
I mean,
Feral
like
DPS, yeah.
obviously feral tank won't use it, and then so it's really not that contested. Coif of Illyria though,
Oh
all your
yeah.
hunters, both your enhanced,
I
that's gonna be hard to get.
honestly, dude, I don't think you should expect to get any armor pen piece from Sunwell. I don't
Do
think you
do
should.
warriors use Coif of Illyria too? Warriors?
I probably do if I have
Probably,
to
maybe.
guess.
I don't know. Honestly, I haven't looked into Sunwell BIS for warriors at
I
all.
imagine they use the immortal night legs as well for him. I imagine they just use everything for him and then they
Yeah.
go with Illyria because it's so tempting. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe they go for the Blizzard guys, right? Coif just gives so much crit that I
Yeah.
imagine just really insane for them. But at the same time, where do they get the lost hit is my question. Like they'd
I'd
have to use the
I'd
leatherworking chest then.
wouldn't it be like Coif and Immortal and then maybe some gloves and Blade Chaos, I'm assuming, for warriors? Something
The
like that.
I think the meld gloves are just way too good not to use, right? They
Yeah,
have armor
yeah,
penetration and crit on them,
yeah.
right?
Well, the leatherworking gloves are basically the same. Actually, so
I mean, I have the sim up. I could just look at this.
this
It's
is
free.
this is what I know about gloves. Okay, so the Lassian Ranger gauntlets are best for us and enhance because we have 25 agi scaling, but warriors have like 33.
Mhm.
So they use the leatherworking ones, gloves of immortal dusk, which are a little bit
Yeah,
better.
yeah,
They
yeah.
have less agi, but they're a little bit better. I think they have more crit.
They have ARP. They have attack power. They have crit and agility. It's still good.
Like
Yeah,
they're basically the
insane.
same. They're basically the same gloves, the leatherworking crafted ones that everybody can get for free, basically, and the Thalassian Ranger gauntlets. They're basically the same, just with like they trade a couple stats, like it's like agi for crit or something.
I've been told that
So
this is Fury Biss right here
what's that?
with the gloves. You're right. Gloves of the Immortal
Oh
Dusk.
yeah, gloves of the immortal dusk.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I guess their tier probably gives some hit, right? I don't know how much it gives because
Oh yeah,
ours
and
is kind
Coif.
of garbage. How much does it? How much hit does their tier give? Because
Oh,
that's
the
one area
belt,
I'm
where
not sure.
belt boot and bracers.
yeah, the boots give some.
But they got the Thoradol here, you know. They gotta have it, you know,
Yeah,
Gotta
just in
have
case.
Thoradol.
You never
Yeah.
dude,
know, man.
it's such a warrior move, dude. It's like
You never
dibs,
know,
bro.
dude. For sure. I mean, it looks pretty nice though.
It does. It looks
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, it looks
I
pretty
hate the
Looks
way
nice.
infuriating.
I hate the way the helmets look, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait,
I mean,
Mantle of the Gold. Wait, oh wait. Mantle of the Golden Forest. There's no way. Really?
I think you just trade in
oh,
Really?
the.
yeah. No, I
No,
was
no, no,
thinking.
no. This is what I from private server. I know that that's a meme, but I was always told that the Demon Tooth Feral shoulders are best for like any class that
Mm,
uses RPen want the Demon Tooth shoulders, except for like Rogue. That's what I was told. Except for I guess Hunter, obviously is different because they can't benefit from the strength. They use the Golden Forest. But is Board in the chat? Can Board give me any information on this?
yeah,
Are those Golden Forest really better than Demon Tooth for Warrior?
I was actually debating would the 4-set be would it push out anywhere? You know, is the 4-set capable with this
Isn't
phase
it
5?
6% damage to their mortal strike and blood or something like
I
that?
think
Yeah,
it's 5, but yeah,
5. Okay.
but it's still like, you know, it's just something, you know, maybe you know, they don't have to take as much loot, you know, all that type of stuff. But I think
Golden
at this
braces.
point, man, they're gonna be doing so much
Well,
fucking
I mean,
damage.
they probably could use their tier shoulders. The Golden Forest are obviously hotly contested because all the
Mm-hmm.
hunters want. But the Demon Tooth ones, like, those are like the feral ones, and I don't know. The wisdom was always that those are best for like enhance, warrior, arms, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like strength, agi, and RPen in 2 slots, but it's like apparently
Shoulder
really
options
good.
very close. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's basically down to, you know, what's best for the raid at that point, you know?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But I appreciate both of you being here for sure. Pride, thank you, my man, for coming in here and talking the Ret Sim with us and a little bit of tier 6 loot prio, man. I appreciate it heavily.
Yeah, yeah, it was good being here. It was good finally getting to talk to you. Like we've been speaking for quite a while, but I guess completely different when you talk to someone this kind of format. I guess
Oh
it's
yeah,
nice
definitely.
getting a chance to
Yeah,
talk to both of you.
I'm sure we'll have you on again in the future for
Oh, for
sure.
sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, man. If you are if you're down for
Yeah,
that,
sure.
we would love to have you again for sure. Is there anything else you want to, you know, end with? Anything you want to leave everybody else with? Anything you know, your socials, any of that type of stuff?
Yeah, first of all, just to reiterate, okay, fuck warriors, fuck hunters. Number one, get it out of the way. Secondly, I know there's gonna be like a million questions I've already answered already, but just to reiterate on that as well, you can go on the wiki on the same. I linked it earlier. I showed it earlier rather. You can find the link. I think it's on both Light Club and the Paladin Classic Discord. Obviously, our Discord has a dedicated channel for the sim and questions. But you know, if you have any questions, feel free to ask Sulis. He loves answering them. That's SULIS.
And I'm sure Sulis likes that as well, being asked questions for sure.
He was complaining that I was not mentioning him enough. So,
He said
Uh,
no.
I,
He said
so
no.
there you go. So
I did
there you
ask
go.
him. I did ask him if he wanted to come on today, but he was busy. So
He's a shy boy.
Ah, gotcha. Um, well, honestly, I appreciate it. You know,
oh,
it's been fantastic.
make sure you pop a link to Pride's Patreon in the
Yes,
channel
I will
because
absolutely.
obviously like this sim is one of the biggest contributions the Ret community has ever had, probably the biggest. And you've done like so much for the community, and you really helped us like figure all this stuff out. And like, if you didn't do it, probably nobody would have, and we would just be sitting here with no spreadsheets, we'd be sitting here with Dolkin's spreadsheet, maybe. Obviously you helped him work on that too, so we might not even have that. So I just want, obviously thank you so much for everything you've done. And if anybody really benefits from Pride Sim, and he also does YouTube videos. He's got a YouTube just called Pride or Pride QT, right?
It goes by my
Pride
old name.
QT.
Shadow.
Oh,
Is it?
yeah. Shadow
I'm not even
Tezos.
sure at this. Yeah, I've changed the username a couple times. I'm
what
not
is
even sure
your-
at this point.
What is your Patreon? I don't have the link for that. I'll just put that in the chat.
It's Pride QT. I can link it in the chat myself.
Yeah,
Give me a second.
Patreon. Patreon.com/Pride QT. Yeah.
No, I will definitely have that on the videos as well.
If if you appreciate what he's done for us, then definitely shoot him a couple bucks. Say thanks.
I should probably have the server plugging my stuff every video. I think it does a better job than me. Honestly, I'm not really good at advertising and stuff. It's like
So you say you're Greek, right?
yeah, I am.
I have to ask you real quick. Have you
Yep.
ever heard of Stelios Kazantzidis?
Yeah, of course. Casadzilis.
Yeah. What do you think of
Yeah.
the song F You Gay, F You Gay? It's fucking great, right?
that's some boomer stuff. That's like...
Oh, okay. All right. No, I was watching.
Like my dad would listen to.
Oh man.
I was watching The Wire, and in The Wire, obviously a show about Baltimore like drug stuff, and there's like the Greeks, which are like they're like these high level drug distributors or whatever, and they listen to that
What?
song. They listen to that song in the one episode. Like they're super Greek, and they listen to that song in the one episode, and I was like, wow, this song's amazing. Like it's so good.
Yeah. It's
But,
like there's a lot of Greeks in the U.S. obviously. So like they immigrated to like I don't know like the 50s and the 60s when like that type of music was like at its pinnacle. It's like the old type of like I don't know, folky music.
Yeah, it
with
is.
kind of-
It is folky.
Damn, Serv is actually a true boomer.
Interesting. I am. Never let it be. Never let it be doubted.
Interesting.
He's a Greek boomer nonetheless.
I'm wearing a Led Zeppelin shirt. I'm wearing a Led Zeppelin shirt.
Hey man, I got the Looney Tunes shirt on, man. We gotta represent.
But
sure.
Yeah.
Thanks again. Thanks for everything you do for the community and stuff. And obviously you put so much work into it. So, once again, thanks for everything. And I'd love to have you on again for sure.
Mhm.
For sure.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to come on again. It's honestly, I love just helping out people. Is like one of the few nice things about Classic is getting a message from someone saying, "Yo, bro, I was doing like green parses a month ago. I've been watching your guides. I've been using your sim. Now I'm doing gray. Sorry, I mean purple." and it's like it always feels good to you
Yeah.
help someone out there. It's like
That's
it's
the
not the
best.
biggest
is-
thing, but
It is heartwarming for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it was lovely talking to you guys.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate it, guys. And if anybody is here watching this will be posted to YouTube shortly, both mine and Serv's YouTube. But yeah, I mean, from me, from Serv, from Pride, I thank you guys all for watching.
And remember, fuck Warriors.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, no.
Yeah, that's right.
No.
Fuck Warriors, fuck
I like
Hunters,
Warriors.
give Rick Cursed Vision. Close the stream, end on that note.
Okay, we're ending the stream. Peace out, guys. Thank you. We're ending it on
Yeah.
giving it to CVOS to Ret. Thank you, guys.
This show was brought to you by Light Club, where monkeys go to church.